Hello and welcome to WCBN FM Ann Arbor's broadcast of Michigan softball. I'm Morris Fabry alongside the usual sidekick Jeremy Parks. We're coming to you live from Alumni Field for this night game super regional. The Michigan Wolverines today taking on the Georgia Bulldogs in what will be a best of three series concluding tomorrow night. The Wolverines come into this game having beaten Oakland, Cal, and Pitt in their regional game. And tonight they will be in their home dugout, and they will have their ace on the mound, Megan Betza. Jeremy, I know our listeners have heard this all before, but what should we expect out of Megan Betza today?
Well, you know what, Mo? I think I'm going to switch it up because the listeners do know what to expect out of Megan Betza. I'm going to look at the other half of the pitching battle here tonight, and that's going to be Chelsea Wilkinson in the circle for the Bulldogs. She's been their staff's ace throughout the season and has gotten them equally as far, and she comes in with pretty comparable numbers to Megan Betza, coming in with a sub-2 ERA at a $1.95. Her whip is under 1, coming in at 9.11, and that matches up with Betza's 1.40 ERA, and her whip is just a tad over 1 at a $1.05. And I think it's really going to come down to who wins the pitching battle tonight, and you can look to these Wolverine bats to try and do some damage against Wilkinson, but then again, these Georgia Bulldogs hitters are no slouches either. They have been equally as dangerous and are capable of scoring just as many runs as these Michigan bats. And I think it's been few and far between the teams that we can say that about this season, but this is definitely going to be a weekend battle for the Wolverines.
Yeah, chief among those Georgia Bulldogs hitters, Alex Hugo, who, like Sierra Romero, plays second base. Like Sierra Romero, is hitting over 400, have an on-base percentage of over 500. And just like Sierra Romero, she has 21 long balls on the year. Wilkinson and Betza are both formidable pitchers in their own right, but both struggled a little bit with the gopher ball on this season, so perhaps that'll be something to look out for in today's game. Before we get started, I'm going to give you the starting lineups for the Georgia Bulldogs. Leading off and playing right field is Sydney Emanuel. Hitting second and playing second base, the aforementioned Alex Hugo. Hitting third, playing shortstop, Paige Wilson. Hitting fourth, the first baseman, Tina Yosefa. Hitting fifth, the third baseman, Anna Swafford. Hitting sixth, and the designated player will be Kaylee Puaialoa. Hitting seventh, the catcher, Maeve McGuire. Hitting eighth, the center fielder, Nyasia Griffin. Hitting ninth, the left fielder, Courtney Emanuel. And in the circle today for the Georgia Bulldogs, it will be Chelsea Wilkinson. For the Michigan Wolverines, your lineup will be leading off Sierra Lawrence, the center fielder. Hitting second and playing second, Sierra Romero. Hitting third, playing left field, Kelly Christner. Hitting fourth, playing right field, Kelsey Susala. Hitting fifth and catching will be Lauren Sweet. Hitting sixth, playing third base, Lindsay Montemorano. Hitting hitting seventh, the designated player, Aiden Falk, who's come on hot in the last couple series for the Wolverines. Hitting eighth, the first baseman, Tara Blanco. Hitting ninth, the shortstop, Abby Ramirez, always so adept at turning the lineup over. And on the circle for the Wolverines today, Megan Betza. She heads out to the rubber to ready for her warm-up pitches. It's a packed house here in Ann Arbor, Michigan at Alumni Field. Not an empty seat in sight, even in those right field bleachers. The Alumni Band is here with us today. It's been a welcome addition in these later games. Barely a cloud in the sky as darkness starts to seep over us. It's well past sunset. The lights are on, and they are beaming both at Ray Fisher Stadium and here at Alumni Field. It's a beautiful day for a game. The weather is perfect, 60 degrees. Not windy at all. I'm ready for this game.
Morris, I think this is what a big stage looks like. I know anytime you're under the lights and you've got a lot of nerves coming in playing a super regional, but both these teams have been battle tested. Michigan came out of arguably one of the tougher regionals in the country, and the Georgia Bulldogs themselves finishing an unbelievable 7th in the SEC, but just because the SEC is that darn good at softball, just full of powerhouses, and I think they've seen their fair share of incredible pitching and incredible hitting all season, so this should be nothing new for them. But again, this is the big stage, and this is where big players come to play, and both teams bringing those big players to the plate tonight, and to the circle for that matter.
The atmosphere is electric. After last weekend, Michigan earned the right to practice for another week, getting ready for this big showdown with the Georgia Bulldogs. A win today would put them on the road to getting practice for yet another week before heading to the NCAA tournament down in Oklahoma City. We may or may not have that covered for you, but that's in the future. Let's focus on the present right now as the infielders have converged on the mound for a brief conference, getting back to their positions. Betza is ready. We're almost ready to get underway here. Stepping into the lefty batter's box, it appears, will be Sydney Emanuel. We're waiting on the TV timeouts. Your umpires today, behind home plate, Brian Smith. At first base, Rick Boyer. And at third base, it's Laura Nesteriak. Our lineup card is incorrect. It lists Emanuel as a right-handed hitter. It looks like she will be hitting from the lefty batter's box. Sydney Emanuel hitting .429 on the season. Betza gets her sign from Sweet. She winds and delivers. The first pitch of the game misses high for ball one.
Well, Betza, we know, brings the speed like no other with that heater. She does have a bit of an off-speed arsenal that she can work with, but normally likes to fall back on that heater if need be and loves to climb the ladder like that.
The 1-0 pitch from Betza, swung on and missed. Emanuel cut right through that one. The infield shaded in on Emanuel. Not a big power threat at the plate for the Georgia Bulldogs. However, he does like to get on base as a .495 on base percentage. The outfield at normal depth. The corners way in, respecting the bunt. The 1-1 pitch from Betza, called strike on the outer edge, about belt high. Betza ahead in the count, 1-2.
Well, I think last weekend we saw Megan Betza's control was a little bit off, but so far tonight, I know we're only a few pitches in, but it looks like she's got some decent control here at the start.
Betza readies the 1-2 pitch to Emanuel, swung on, popped up behind short. Abby Ramirez charging out in the outfield and makes the over-the-shoulder catch right in front of the oncoming Kelly Christner. It wasn't easy, but that's 1 up, 1 down for Megan Betza and the Wolverines here in the top of the first inning.
I think one of the unsung heroes of this team on both sides of the ball is Abby Ramirez. We know she can get it done defensively, but at the same time has also been an over 300 hitter in that 9 spot for the Wolverines all season long, but flashing some defensive skills and concentration there.
Batting now, the big righty Alex Hugo takes the first pitch high for ball 1. Hugo has 21 home runs and 71 RBI out of this 2 spot on the year for the Georgia Bulldogs. She's hitting .403. She draws a lot of walks. Very good hitter for the Bulldogs. Someone Betza's going to have to tread carefully against. The 1-0 pitch to Hugo. This is high for ball 2. The count now 2-0 on Alex Hugo.
Well, I think one of the most outstanding things on Hugo's stat line is the fact that she comes in with a .918 slugging percentage. And if that's any indication, she likes to hit the cover off of the ball, Morris.
Hugo stands tall in the box, a wide open stance. Her back foot right on that back line. And I think home plate ump Brian Smith is talking to her right now, making sure that her feet are both in the batter's box. He's really being strict about enforcing that right now, it appears.
Well, her back foot was right on the back corner on that left side part of the plate, the right side part of the plate, I should say. And I think they were just drawing the line in the sand there.
The 2-0 pitch to Hugo, called strike on the outside corner, draws a cheer from a crowd that's really came here ready to cheer. They're fired up in support of their Wolverines, mostly maize and blue in the crowd right now. So there is a small Bulldogs contingent right here. Betza winds. The 2-1 pitch to Hugo. Just misses off the outer edge for ball 3. The count now 3-1 on the dangerous Alex Hugo.
Well, Lauren Sweet held that one for an extra beat. I think as she threw it back to Megan Betza, she said that was good positioning. She just wants to place it a little bit more inside, but always you have to be dangerous on that inside part of the plate with Hugo at the plate.
The 3-1 pitch to Hugo, swing and a miss, swing and a foul back to the screen. It was a big swing. It's a strike just like a swing and a miss would have been. That's my fault. The count now 3-2 on Alex Hugo.
Well, I think that foul hack, you just can see how much power she generates off of that back leg and comes through with just such a fluid motion. And that I think a lot of that has to do with the power number she puts up.
The 3-2 pitch from Betza, swinging a foul back to the screen. That one a fastball low and away. Hugo just fighting it off, staying alive in that righty batter's box here. With 1 out, nobody on.
That swing looked a little bit more uncomfortable there. She definitely took a little bit off of it, trying to focus on making contact with the ball there as opposed to trying to drive it.
It's a big-time matchup here. Power pitching versus power hitting. Betza winds. The 3-2 pitch to Hugo. Cold strike 3, a fastball belt high. Sends Hugo back to the bench with her tail between her legs. 2 up, 2 down for Megan Betza here in the top of the first.
Well, we talk about that control, and Megan Betza is going to have it tonight if she wants to have the same success that she's had all season. This is a dangerous lineup, and they know where they want the ball, and I don't think Hugo was looking on the inside part of the plate there, and Betza positioned that one perfectly for her first K of the game.
That brings up Paige Wilson, bunts the first pitch foul down the third base line. Montemorano jogs to her right, picks it up, flips it back to her pitcher in the circle. 1 strike now on the senior shortstop for the Bulldogs.
We'll see if Wilson tries that again. It looks like Monty down at third base was ready for that one, but Wilson did exhibit some speed getting down that line.
Wilson with a wide stance in that lefty batter's box. The 0-1 pitch, swing and a miss on a breaking ball in the dirt. It looked like Wilson started taking off toward first base like she thought, but that was strike 3. It's only strike 2. The count now 0-2 on Paige Wilson.
Batter, I think she thought she hit the ball before she even made contact with it, like she was headed out of the box down to first.
Well, the only thing that ball hit was the dirt. Betsa winds the 0-2 pitch to Wilson. Swing and a miss. Strike 3 on a breaking ball down in the zone. Betsa facing a formidable lineup. Looks like all business out there on the mound. Handles them. 1, 2, 3. We'll head to the bottom of the first here at Alumni Field in a scoreless tie. You are listening to WCBN FM Ann Arbor's broadcast of Michigan softball. Thank you for tuning in.
Well, that's exactly what Megan Betsa is going to have to do all night tonight if she wants to continue to knock down these Georgia Bulldog hitters like that. She's going to have to change eye levels. We saw a lot of different heights on a lot of those pitches, really confusing the hitters as to where it's going to come when it gets across the plate. She also mixed in some off-speed stuff well. We did see a majority fastballs, but when she needed to fall back to the fastball, she did. She also worked in a little bit of her off-speed stuff and some of the rise balls even, getting some action on it. All of that is going to be little pieces of the jigsaw puzzle that will help figure out how to get through this Georgia lineup, because without a doubt, Morris, this is one of the top 3 most difficult lineups I think I've seen all season long.
Yeah, Megan Betsa on the mound, we've seen, she knows that she's dominant out there, and I think in past performances we've seen her get a little maybe too confident with that fastball, try to blow it by batters, and ends up getting behind in counts, missing high. But today it's been a very effective blend of pitches. As you said, she has mixed the eye levels very well, and this formidable Georgia lineup goes down 1, 2, 3. That's looking to implement more of the same. We're going to have a little longer break between half innings, every half inning, as ESPN2 is broadcasting this game. We thank you for watching that on TV and muting it and listening to us.
Well, that's awesome that we have a little bit of extra time to talk about Chelsea Wilkinson down in the circle for the Bulldogs. I know, Morris, you were talking to me before the game, and some early scouting reports are really calling her Betsa Light in the way that she works batters and in the way that she delivers the ball. Definitely has maybe not quite the same heat, but she brings it in there a lot faster than a lot of pitchers in the NCAA, bringing definitely a lot faster than most pitchers the Wolverines have seen this season. She also likes to mix up the eye levels and is a little bit more proficient at working in her off-speed pitches, all from the scouting report as well. And she comes into this one with, like I said, very similar stats to Megan Betsa, that 1.95 ERA. And I mean, that pretty much speaks for itself, and her whip is under 1. And if you're doing those two things right, that you're on your way to being one of the most dominant pitchers in the country, and I think she ranks right up there with the Big Ten Pitcher of the Year, Megan Betsa.
Wilkinson, 262 strikeouts on the season compared with Betsa's 289. However, Wilkinson has also thrown about 50 more innings on the season, more of a workhorse, whereas Michigan can afford to split their work between 2 dominant pitchers in Betsa and Haley Wagner, whom we will most likely see tomorrow. Sierra Lawrence steps into that righty batter's box, leading off the game for the Wolverines. Wilkinson's first pitch called strike right down the middle.
Well, I think one of the big things for the Wolverines that we saw last week, and it didn't hurt them enough to knock them out of contention in that regional, but they were swinging on a lot of early pitches. So look for Carol Hutchins to really tell them to, settle down on the early stuff tonight.
Wilkins is 0-1, misses low for ball 1. The count 1-1 on Lawrence. Sierra Lawrence hitting .367 on the season with 14 home runs and 56 RBI, and those 56 RBI all coming out of the leadoff spot. Power to all fields off of this bat. The 1-1 pitch from Wilkinson, big swing and a miss. Lawrence out in front of an off-speed pitch. The count now 1-2.
They just got a big rise out of the crowd. They just showed the Michigan men's basketball team. Aubrey Dawkins and DJ Wilson were up there. And the entire city and state of Michigan and pretty much anybody that loves the Wolverines is out here supporting tonight.
The 1-2 pitch to Lawrence, swung on and fouled down the third baseline. That was a defensive swing by Sierra Lawrence. The third baseman, Anna Swapper, took a few steps to her right, fielded the grounder, tossed it back to her pitcher. The count still 1-2 on Sierra Lawrence.
Leadoff hitters are only hitting .210 against Wilkinson so far this season.
The 1-2 pitch just missed off the outer edge. Georgia fan in the front row down this first base line stood up with his hands raised. He wanted to know where that one missed. Looked like it was outside. The count now 2-2.
He seems to be the leader of that Georgia contingent down on the first base side.
The 2-2 to Lawrence. Called strike 3 on the inside corner. Wilkinson sets her down. Looking, and that's 1 up, 1 down for the Wolverines here in the bottom of the first.
That was just good pitching there from Wilkinson and brought it right back inside that same place that Megan Betza got the third out of last inning. And it looks like home plate umpire Brian Smith is going to be pretty tight on the inside part of the plate there. So hitters from both sides going to have to focus on getting things in on the hands.
That brings up Sierra Romero. She takes the first pitch low and away for ball 1. Every pitcher treads carefully when Michigan's best hitter comes to the plate. She's hitting .474 on the year, 21 home runs, 78 RBI, tied for the all-time lead in home runs for Michigan softball. The 1-0 pitch from Wilkinson. Romero takes a fastball about belt high right down the middle, count even at 1-1.
Well, these fans want to see Sierra Romero hit one out of the park and take that record for her own. But it's going to be a tall order against the tough stuff of Wilkinson.
1-1 the count down Romero. The outfield, infield shaded straight away. The 1-1 pitch, big swing and a miss. Fastball elevated, maybe above the zone, about letter high. Romero couldn't quite barrel that one up. The count now 1-2. Almost no wind here at Alumni Field, so if any ball's going to fly out of the park, it's going to have to be all supplied from the batter. The 1-2 pitch to Romero, breaking ball misses low in the dirt. The count now even at 2-2 on Romero.
I think one of the other extremely interesting things about Wilkinson, I think the only other pitcher I've seen this season who has had a strikeout mark even close to that of Megan Betza's, and she comes in with 263 on the season. Betza nearing in on 300. The
2-2 pitch, Romero swings, pops it foul down on the right side over the roof and into the concession stand. The count still 2-2, and yeah, Wilkinson has also performed against the might of the SEC conference. It's really impressive she's been able to keep the kind of stats that she has. The 2-2 pitch to Romero again, misses high with the fastball. Wilkinson put a little extra on that. That one, blazing speed, but not great command. The count now full on Romero.
And coming through the SEC, I think it just speaks to itself that the Bulldogs come in at 14th and they finish 7th in the SEC. That means there's 6 teams between 14th and 1 in the SEC.
The 3-2 pitch misses off the plate inside. Romero ducks out of the way and trots down to first base with a 1-out walk. Romero, always a threat to steal. She has stolen successfully 18 times in 21 attempts on the year. That brings up Kelly Christner.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what Carol Hutchins decides to do here today. If she decides to play some small ball and try and get Christner to drop down a bunt or not, I think base runners are going to be a lot more difficult to come by in this series.
First pitch to Christner, called strike on the outside corner at the knees. Good fastball there from Wilkinson to get ahead in the count. Christner hitting .406 on the year with 19 home runs and 53 RBI. Big reason why opposing pitchers have to respect Sierra Romero. The 0-1 pitch to Christner, big swing and a miss on a fastball at her head. Tried to go after that high heat, couldn't catch up. The count now 0-2.
Well, that one a little deceptive coming out of the hand of Wilkinson. It looks like it's going to come in about even belt level, and that rise ball just came up really high and looked like a terrible swing because of it.
The 0-2 pitch to Christner misses off the plate outside. Good stop by the catcher, Maeve McGuire. The count 1-2 now on Christner. Romero remains at first base. As we did last weekend, we have fans down the third base line in support of the Maize and Blue. The 1-2 pitch swung on and hit high. That one deep into center field, tracking it back to the fence, and that ball is gone. A 2-run homer to dead center field off the bat of Kelly Christner. And you know what? Wilkinson snuck that high fastball by her earlier in the at-bat, tried to do it again, and Kelly Christner climbed the ladder right with her and sent it right out of the ballpark to dead center. A 2-0 lead for the Michigan Wolverines here in the bottom of the first inning.
Well, I'll tell you what, Griffin out in center field thought she was going to have room to make the play, and the wind, there isn't any wind. So the imaginary forces that pushed that ball just over the yellow line in dead center field, giving Kelly Christner that 2-run shot. And wow, just getting off right to it, these Wolverines are.
The first pitch to Sasala misses low and away for ball 1, and perhaps it was the softball gods who have smiled on the Wolverines all season, giving that one a little bit of extra push out of the grasp of Nyasia Griffin in center field.
I think Wilkinson's no better than to elevate now.
Wilkinson's 1-0 pitch misses low in the dirt, badly missed there. The count now 2-0, and perhaps Wilkinson a bit rattled after seeing Christner take one of her better pitches and send it 230 feet to dead center.
Well, Kelly Christner hadn't been on her hottest streak of the season, and boy, did her bat wake up.
The 2-0 pitch to Suzella misses off the plate outside, 3-0. on Michigan's junior right fielder. Still one out here in the bottom of the first. Michigan with a 2-0 lead thanks to Christner's long ball.
You know what I think it is, Morris? I think she wants to take that team home run lead back from Sierra Romero.
The 3-0 pitch. Susawa takes it off the plate, low and away. You knew she was taken all the way. Wilkinson couldn't find the zone nonetheless. And Susawa trots down to first base with a 1-out walk. That brings up the catcher, Lauren Sweets.
Wow. That's all I have to say. They just never cease to amaze me, Morris, this team. Offensively, defensively, pitching-wise, intangibles. Just down to the smallest minute detail, these Michigan Wolverines just continue to do incredible things.
They're not scared of the moment.
There's no other way to explain it. And really, you know, Michigan won that national championship back in 2005. This is proudly displayed out on that board in Alumni Field. And this team is really making its best effort to put the year 2015 up there as well.
Absolutely. They've got as good of a chance to contend as any other team. It seems like no matter who they face, they make the game look easy. You know, that's what the Nebraska radio guy said to us down in Columbus, and they haven't really shown otherwise.
He said it was scary easy.
Lauren Sweet at the plate for the Wolverines takes the first pitch high for ball one. You got to imagine the Wolverines are going to be a little passive at the plate until Wilkinson can get back into that strike zone.
But I got to tell you, I think part of it being so easy is because of the work ethic this team has as well.
The 0-1 pitch, Sweet chased a fastball out of the zone high and popped it up foul over the screen. The count now 1-1. The little break that you might have detected was assistant coach Rick Pauly going out to talk to his man or his girl on the rubber, trying to assure Wilkinson of some confidence. Sweet grounds one back up the middle for a base hit. The Wolverines still threatening here with 1 out and now 2 runners on base.
Well, we've continually seen these Wolverine hitters, if they aren't really thinking they're going to be able to power one, they do a really good job of hitting them right back up the middle and really splitting the diamond in half. And that's exactly what Lauren Sweet did there. She split Wilson at short and Hugo at second and literally put that ball between the middle of the diamond for a good base hit.
That brings up Lindsay Montemarano. The first pitch from Wilkinson. Montemarano swings and I think she fouled it back to the screen. The runner on second base, Susella, went down to third as though it were a passed ball, but that was just a foul ball off the bat of Montemarano. The count 0-1. Outfield playing deep and toward the corners on the Michigan third bagger. The 0-1 pitch. Wilkinson just missed there. Perhaps low, perhaps away. The count 1-1 now on Lindsay Montemarano, who's been red hot for the Wolverines over the last couple weeks.
Brian Smith behind the plate has been pretty tight in there on the inside, and kind of surprising that Wilkinson missed with that one. It was pretty darn close.
The 1-1 called strike looked to be about the same spot, but that one found the outside corner at the knees. The count now 1-2 on Lindsay Montemarano.
And that one was pretty much the same on the inside part of the plate, just a little bit lower on Monty. Monty does have one of the smaller strike zones on the team due to her smaller stature.
As the 1-2 pitch is fouled back to the screen.
She really does walk a lot for this team. And Wilkinson is a pitcher who really doesn't walk a whole lot of batters. She only has 60 walks on the season to go against her 263 strikeouts.
This Michigan team also does not give away at-bats easily. The 1-2 pitch to Montemarano, swinging a ground ball foul down the left field line. Montemarano fooled by a breaking ball down in the zone, but still able to get bat on ball and keep that at-bat alive.
And that's what another one of these things that the Wolverines do really well, and that's fouling off the ball with 2 strikes on them, and it goes all throughout the lineup.
Wilkinson ready. The 1-2 pitch to Montemarano, swinging a pop-up foul. This one looks like it's going to get out of play into the crowd. It lands right over the screen, almost hitting a fan. It bounced up and actually did hit a fan in that front row right next to the Wolverine dugout down the third base line. Nobody's hurt, though. The count's still 1-2.
Nobody hurt, but the event staff's still going to take the ball from them. No souvenirs here at Alumni Field, Morris.
Oh, no way.
Never.
Got to keep those softballs on the field. Wilkinson, the 1-2 pitch to Montemarano. She swings and pops one at foul again on the third base side. This one going to make its way up into the stands and near the alumni band, who is out there in the top corner of the bleachers down the third base side.
Here we go again with fouling with 2 strikes in the count. And Monty battling with Wilkinson here.
Wilkinson ready. The 1-2 pitch misses low. The count now 2-2.
And that's what happens when you foul off all these pitchers with 2 strikes on you. These Wolverine hitters just wait. until they get one that they know is going to be out of the zone. And until then, they're just able to continuously foul off pitch after pitch.
The 2-2 pitch now from Wilkinson. Monty swings and fouls one back over the screen and out of play. Beyond the stands, the count still 2-2, and there's a lot of high-stress pitches for Chelsea Wilkinson, who's probably not used to facing lineups of this caliber.
Well, I disagree with that. I think she's used to it. I think these lineups are just so strong that even the best pitching like Wilkinson has just doesn't do sometimes.
The 2-2 pitch, swinging a pop-up behind home plate. This one looks like it's going to stay in play. The catcher, Maeve McGuire, misses it as she was up against the screen. That one stayed in play, but Maeve McGuire not able to make the play. The count still 2-2. Montemurano gets new life.
And I think she lost it up in the lights here down the first base line as she was looking for it. And by the time she caught it back in her eyesight, it was about a foot over to her right. But Monty does stay alive after fouling off another pitch.
The 2-2 from Wilkinson. Montemurano takes it low and away for ball 3. The count full on Lindsay Montemurano with Aiden Falk waiting on deck.
She's come back. I think this is going to be the 9th pitch of the at-bat. And
it's got to be more than that, man.
I think it's 9, to be honest. It seems like a lot more just because of the number of balls she's fouled off.
The 3-2 pitch misses low for ball 4, and as far as walks, they don't get much better than that. Montemurano never says die in the batter's box. She's on first. The base is now loaded for the freshman Aiden Falk, who's been one of the Wolverines' hotter hitters as of late. A conference on the mound. All of the infielders and the catcher, Maeve McGuire, going in to comfort Chelsea Wilkinson and try to settle her down. Still only 1 out here in the bottom of the first inning.
Well, Lindsay Montemurano is proof that you don't have to have the best hitting numbers in the lineup to be a good batter. We've seen her do it time and time again, and she's really come on even hotter late in the season here throughout the regional and even throughout the Big Ten tournament. We've seen her come up in big spots, whether it's lining doubles off of the wall, taking walks that extend innings, working long at bats that raise these pitch counts. She's capable of doing so many things at the plate.
The first pitch from Wilkinson to Falk misses off the outer edge for ball 1. Wilkinson, opposing hitters hitting 182 against her with runners on base.
That 263 average on Montemurano really belies her skill.
The 1-0 pitch misses low and away. The count 2-0 on Aiden Falk with nowhere to put her. Tara Blanco awaits on deck.
I think Wilkinson's starting to feel the pressure, and she's losing the strike zone. She's got to bring herself back and start to find that command that she knows she has in there.
Infield shaded in for the Bulldogs. Wilkinson's 2-0 to Falk. Called strike on the outside corner. That one looked like a breaking ball that just caught the edge. Good pitch there to make the count 2-1 on Aiden Falk.
That was a good looping off-speed pitch that just caught enough of that outside corner. That's a good comeback pitch there for Wilkinson.
The 2-1 pitch, Falk swings and fouls it over the stands and out of play over the screen on the third base side. The count 2-2 now on Aiden Falk as she reached for a pitch off the plate away. Probably not in her comfort zone. The count now 2-2.
Place your bets. How many does she foul off?
Well, we'll see right here. The 2-2 pitch to Falk off the plate, low and away. The count now full.
Plus or minus 3.
We'll see right here. Wilkinson's taking a little extra time before getting back on the rubber. I'm not a betting man, Jeremy.
This Alumni Field crowd is ravenous right now.
3-2 pitch in the dirt for ball 4. Wilkinson walks in a run. The Wolverines still threatening now with a 3-0 lead in the bottom of the first.
Well, for a pitcher who only walked 60 batters coming into this game all season long, walks 3 here in the bottom of the first inning, and she's just not comfortable out there on the circle right now.
At this point, a walk is as good as a hit. Tara Blanco, also a patient batter at the plate. With prodigious power, too. Time called.
It just keeps getting worse because as you go through this Wolverines lineup, there is no let-up on the offensive end. Everybody is capable of doing damage at the plate, and it looks like Wilkinson is going to be done for the day already.
Chelsea Wilkinson, the Georgia Bulldogs ace, with a 1.95 ERA, 28-9 heading into this game.
Well, the Wolverines
is done for the day.
The Wolverines did their job. They bumped that average up to 204 and knock her out of the game without even an inning of work. She only got a third of an inning of work done here on this Wolverines lineup, and they're ready to almost bat around again.
It looks like it will be Brittany Gray on the mound for the Georgia Bulldogs. Jeremy, tell us a little about Brittany Gray. What do we expect out of her?
Well, if Chelsea Wilkinson was the ace, and if Megan Betts is the ace for the Wolverines, it seems as though Brittany Gray is going to be sort of the Haley Wagner light version, if you will. Also coming in with no slouch numbers, really good numbers too so far this season, a 2.21 ERA. She's 15-6. She's played in 32 games for the Bulldogs, but has come in most of those appearances in relief for Wilkinson. She still pitched 130 innings, and opponents are still only hitting 217 against her. But, that stat doesn't mean much against this Michigan lineup because opponents were only hitting a $183 against Wilkinson before the Wolverines did a number on her here early.
Yeah, really, given what we've seen today, you got to throw all the stats out the window when you're facing this Wolverines lineup. I think the most important runner, or the most important stat for Brittany Gray is her walk rate, because Wilkinson was unable to find the zone, and if that persists with Gray on the circle, this could be a very short game for the Georgia Bulldogs. Blanco steps back into that righty batter's box. Looks like we are delayed for TV right now. Everybody else is ready to go. Montemurano jumping up and down on second base, trying to fire up the crowd.
Interesting enough, Morris, looks as though the Tennessee Volunteers had a late comeback against the Florida State Seminoles later than the fifth inning, because we stopped checking at the fifth inning when this game started, but it looks as though they have come back and have won that game 3-2 in the first game of that Super Regional. That was the only other game going on tonight other than the Michigan game, but
that one a matchup between the number 8 and number 9 teams in the country, perhaps relevant to the Michigan Wolverines down the road, as they very well may come up against a couple of those teams.
Well, if they make it to the College World Series, they're going to potentially see one or the other. And the Wolverines have Oklahoma City on the mind, and they look ready to punch their ticket already here tonight.
Wolverines have the future on the mind, but it hasn't taken their focus off of this game right here, right now. Gray, conference with her infielders. Petra Maeve McGuire retreats to behind home plate. And it looks like we're about ready to get back underway.
One of the other quick things before this gets back going is this Wolverines dugout and the energy that they bring. They really lift this team at every level in terms of support.
Gray's first pitch to Blanco right on the outside corner for a called strike one. Zipped a fastball in, and Blanco probably had to be taking the first pitch all the way given the circumstances.
I think she's going to possibly take the second pitch here too if it's anything but close.
The 0-1 pitch from Gray. Blanco check swing on a pitch in the dirt. Didn't go around. The count now 1-1. Home plate ump Brian Smith not even opting to appeal to first base umpire Rick Boyer. The count 1-1.
Yeah, it wasn't even really a check swing. It was more just Blanco lifting the bat off her shoulder there.
The 1-1. This is low and away with a hard breaking ball there. The count now 2-1 on Blanco. Still nowhere to put her. Abby Ramirez waits on deck. The infield playing back now for the Bulldogs, just trying not to let things get out of hand. Gray winds the 2-1 to Blanco, swinging a pop-up down the right field line. That one tailing toward the bullpen. And a great catch on the run by the right fielder, Sydney Emanuel. She throws to the plate, but nobody tagging up for the Wolverines. Emanuel covered a lot of ground coming from about the warning track in right field to make that catch.
And that was a really, really big out here for the Bulldogs as they get the second of the inning, and they're resting a little bit easier, but resting is a very loose term as the bases are still juiced. 3 ducks on the pond, and Abby Ramirez looming in the box.
The first pitch from Gray to Ramirez. She swings and fouls it down the third baseline off the screen, and it bounces out to the third baseman, Anna Swafford. Ramirez hitting 362 on the season. Couple home runs both came against Rutgers. Not a big power threat. The infield and outfield both shaded in on Michigan shortstop.
Ramirez ready to slap one here.
The 0-1, Ramirez swings and slaps one back to the screen. A foul ball for strike 2. The count 0-2 on Ramirez. Will have to protect the plate against Brittany Gray, who looks to be a little more locked in than Chelsea Wilkinson.
Now, it looks like Ramirez is running up and is looking ready to slap something, but at the same time, there's some good space over between second and short.
The 0-2 pitch misses low and away. The count now 1-2 on Abby Ramirez.
Some good real estate over there. We saw Lauren Sweet knock one right up the middle earlier.
The outfield shading Ramirez toward left field. She shows bunt, pulls back. The 1-2 pitch hits her on the elbow. She's walking down to first base, and Michigan has a 4-0 lead. That's a bailout for the Wolverines as Ramirez was running up as her swing involves that run up that we see softball players do. So she really had no way to get her momentum going any way but up in the box. And Brittany Gray's pitch ran inside and plunked her.
It looks like that one hit her on her left hand as she was running up. Looked like it might have been the elbow, but she's really shaking that left hand down at first base, trying to work it out. Potentially a stinger right there.
Yeah, she doesn't look to be in any pain indicative of a broken bone. She's fine. These softball players are tough. That'll bring up Sierra Lawrence, who led off this game with a strikeout. The first pitch from Gray. Lawrence takes it on the outside corner at the knees for strike one.
Yeah, if you think about it, that was the only out that Wilkinson was able to record in this game. As she only got a third of an inning of work done before the Wolverines knocked her right out of this one.
Gray's 0-1 to Lawrence. Big swing and a miss on a pitch that bounced a foot in front of home plate. Lawrence trying to do a little too much there at the plate. Didn't bring her 9-iron to the dish. The count now 0-2 on Michigan center fielder.
Well, with the exception of that 2-run home run that she had last weekend, she's been in a bit of a cold spot lately, really working to break herself out of it.
She'll have to be defensive here with 2 strikes. Gray's 0-2 pitch to Lawrence. Breaking ball, same spot in the dirt. Lawrence did not swing at that one, however. The count now 1-2.
She is one of the more susceptible Wolverines when it comes to swinging at poor pitches, and I think she's really been working lately to try and hold off on her swing, but as we can see, it's taking a little bit more work than is been done already.
The 1-2 pitch chopped down the third baseline. That one had a lot of English on it, and it rolled foul. Would have been trouble for the Bulldogs as the infield was shading Lawrence deep on the play. Fortunately for them, it's foul, and maybe fortunately for Sierra Lawrence, she gets a chance to put a better swing on the ball.
A lot of spin on that one, and that was a smart play by the third baseman, Swafford, to let it go. Could have spelled trouble if it had any less spin.
Count 1-2 on Lawrence. Gray off the rubber, now steps back on. Looks in, gets the sign. The 1-2 pitch to Lawrence. Breaking ball just misses off the outside corner, maybe a bit high. Close pitch, the count 2-2 on Lawrence.
That one was pretty careful. Oh, looks like we have a little bit of something out on the field there. Piece of paper, maybe.
And it looks like,
oh, Reisenbag.
Yeah, that was just the Reisenbag.
Made its way up to the front of the circle there.
Good job by the second baseman, Hugo, creeping in and fixing that. The 2-2 pitch just misses off the outside corner with the fastball. And Georgia fans out in the first row down the first baseline are irate that was not a called strike 3. The count now full on Lawrence with the bases loaded.
That's 2 close ones in a row that Sierra Lawrence has taken, and McGuire held them both for extra beats.
The 3-2 pitch fouled right toward us down the right field line. Ricochets off the screen in front of us. The count still full on Michigan center fielder. Full count with 2 outs and the bases loaded.
That souvenir still eludes us, Morris. We've been trying all season to get a foul ball, but this darn netting keeps getting in the way.
That was headed right at us. The count 3-2. 2 outs. Bases loaded for Sierra Lawrence. Brittany Gray looks in, winds, and delivers. A 3-2 pitch, swinging a ground ball, handled by the third baseman Swafford. She throws across the diamond and retires Lawrence at first base. Lawrence goes 0 for 2 in the inning, but the rest of the Wolverines lineup absolutely lights this game on fire. A 4-0 lead going into the top of the second. Michigan with 4 runs on 2 hits.
Well, they lit it on fire. They threw some kindling in it, and then they set another fire next to it and put more logs between the two and just made a bigger fire. Just firing on all cylinders has been the case throughout this season for the Wolverines. And we talk about it every game we broadcast for you, but they've only lost 6 times. And they have the best winning percentage in the NCAA. And it's just something to watch this team play. And I'm mesmerized every time we see them. And mesmerized is the proper word there. I know it's strong, but
yeah,
that's exactly what it is for me.
Yeah, this team only lost 6 games on the season, and it seems like it's been an entire season since they last lost a game. I've really lost track of their winning streak, but it's got to be something around the realm of 25 in a row.
I believe the last loss was that one at Minnesota, was it not? The run rule when they were in Minneapolis?
I think it was, but I don't know how many games they've won since then. They rolled through the Big Ten schedule. Jeremy's going to investigate that one.
Trusty color commentator, I'm going to figure this one out because now I'm intrigued.
Yeah, make sure you do the math right. It might be some difficult arithmetic because there's just so many wins to count up. Betza back on the bump for the Wolverines.
Well, prior to my college years, I only learned how to count to 10, Morris, so be careful.
This could be some trouble, so don't take Jeremy at his word. Betza rolled through the first 3 hitters in this Georgia lineup in the first
Yep.
inning. A 1-2-3 inning. She struck out 2.
Let's see. The last loss was at Minnesota, back when Minnesota was ranked number 14th. That was on April 3rd, and that was a run rule defeat when they lost 9-1, turned around and won 9-4 and 9-1 in the next 2 games. So let's count
A
them.
month and a half.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now this is where I get into some trouble because we're at 10.
Yeah, I kind of thought you would do this math in your head and we could talk more about the game at hand.
Well, I'm at 14 right now and still going. 17, 20, 23 in a row.
It really is spectacular. Michigan on a tear like pretty much no other team in the nation, doing it on all sides of the ball. The defense has been stellar. The offense, as you followed along today, has been stellar. And Megan Betza looking to continue that stellar first inning. I mean, adjectives fail me. I think I just used stellar about 3 times in a row.
I'm also going to throw another one at you. Out of the last 13 games, you want to guess how many they've won by run rule?
I would guess 10.
That is approximately right, Morris. Good job. It is
Yeah,
10 of the last 13 games have been won via the run rule.
Yeah, they've just been rolling over anybody that they have faced, and these have been quality opponents too. Georgia perhaps of the highest quality. Michigan out to a 4-0 lead. Plenty of softball left to be played here today and tomorrow. Chelsea Wilkinson taking an early seat for the Bulldogs, maybe just trying to regroup for tomorrow's game. Tina Yosefa in the batter's box for the Georgia Bulldogs. Betza blows a fastball by her. She swings and misses. The count 0-1 on Tina Yosefa, the first baseman for the Bulldogs.
Oh. Yeah.
The 0-1 pitch now to Yosefa. That one in on her
Hit the
hands.
bat.
A foul ball off of the handle of the bat. Looked like she might get hit by a pitch, but
I think if you were listening on our Nat sounds, I think it picked up the plunk of aluminum on that one as opposed to some hands, but close.
that's establishing that inside and working the count to 0-2. She looks in, gets her sign from Sweet, comes set, and delivers. The 0-2 pitch to Yosefa. Just misses off the outside corner. Actually missed by a pretty good margin. The count 1-2. That's a pitcher's pitch right there, trying to get Yosefa to chase. She was not tempted.
Yosefa pretty good at the plate, coming in hitting .338. She's got 46 hits on the season and 136 at bats.
That's his 1-2 to Yosefa. Swing and a miss on a fastball up and out in the zone. The third strikeout in 4 batters for Megan Betza. Yosefa is the first out of the top half of the second inning for the Bulldogs.
Well, Yosefa had 46 hits on 136 at bats, but against Megan Betza, no hits on 1 at bat.
That'll bring up Anna Swafford, the third baseman. Swafford hitting .342. Another power threat, hitting 14 home runs on the year thus far. Betza's first pitch to her. Swing and a miss on a ball that totally dropped out of the zone. Bounced in front of Lauren Sweet. Devastating break on that pitch.
Well, Megan Betza threw it, and then I think she came up, ran behind it, and then pulled the floor out from underneath it as it came towards the plate. That one just fell right out of there.
Working a little too quick for my eyes, Jeremy. The 0-1 to Swafford. Fastball misses high there. That one at about the letters over the plate, but Swafford not tempted. The count 1-1.
Pitching with a 4-run advantage and also pitching with your good stuff. She's brought the good stuff so far tonight. That leaves Betza a lot of room to do things like climb the ladder, things that she loves to do but sometimes can't.
Swafford shows bunt, pulls back, and swings and misses again on a pitch in the dirt. Betza's breaking stuff outstanding today. She's ahead in this count, 1-2 on Swafford.
And like I'm saying, it just gives her so much freedom to do so many more things on the bump.
Betza looks in, takes her time, shakes off a couple times, now gets her sign. The 1-2 pitch to Swafford. Just misses off the outer edge, about belt high with the fastball there. Fans wanted a called strike 3, but Brian Smith has been a little stingy on that edge of the plate tonight. The count 2-2 now on Swafford.
Swafford also hitting .342 coming into this one. But Megan Betza says, your stats don't matter to me.
The 2-2 pitch, swinging a pop-up foul behind home plate and into the crowd over the screen.
And I think this Wolverines team says your stats don't matter to us, regardless of who they're playing. They just don't seem to be fazed by anybody.
That one ran in on the hands of Swafford, who was able to fight it off. Swafford has struck out 37 times and 146 at-bats on the year. Betza looks in, gets her sign. The 2-2 pitch misses away with fastball there. The count now full, and Betza wants a new ball out there on the bump. That one not doing it for her. The count full, nobody on, 1 out here in the top of the second for the Bulldogs.
Well, if you look at these Georgia statistics in their postseason record, all time in the postseason, they're 54-28. they're an impressive program, and they have a lot of good history behind them, and they're capable of playing well. They just haven't been able to pull out bats, and the pitching of Wilkinson really was not there early on, and that let the Wolverines get up to a quick lead. And also Gray really didn't pitch that well coming in relief thus far.
Betza looks in. The 3-2 pitch now coming to Swafford. Swinging a tapper foul behind home plate. Swafford went after that breaking ball. Good spot on it, but Swafford spoiled it. The count remains full. And Georgia came into this game. They lost their first game of their regional 2-1 to the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers. Then run ruled them twice in a row to get to this point. The 3-2 pitch from Betza, swinging a pop-up foul behind home plate. That one's going to go just over the screen and get out of play. Swafford fighting off pitches at the plate for the Bulldogs, trying to become the first base runner for her team in today's game.
Yeah, they won that last game that sent them to the Super Regional. I think it was 17-0. So obviously they're capable of hitting the ball hard.
The 3-2 pitch, swinging a foul back to the screen. And Swafford's been scouting these Wolverines at bats last inning and has extended this at bat against Betza.
Definitely taking a page out of the Wolverine hitting book, continually fouling off these 2-strike pitches. Betza's trying to get her with another payoff.
Betza looks in. The payoff pitch to Swafford. That one missed way in the dirt, bounced about 3 feet in front of home plate. Betza released that one wrong, and Swafford is down to first base with a 1-out walk.
But here's where Megan Betza benefits from having the 4-run lead behind her. Really, in a lot of situations, especially early on in games, the Wolverines haven't liked to score runs in the first inning or so. And if runners start to get on base, she gets a little bit uncomfortable, and we've definitely seen that. But I think with the 4-run lead behind her, she definitely feels a lot more comfortable out on the circle and can do a lot more things.
That brings up Kaylee Puiloa. She swings right through the first pitch for strike one. Puiloa hitting .247 on the year with 4 home runs, 27 RBI.
When I say she can do a lot of things, I mean she can strike out a lot of batters.
Opposing hitters hitting .176 against Betza with runners on this year. Not doing much better with empty bases either. Betza winds the 0-1 pitch to Puiloa, swinging a foul back to the screen.
I think, too, for me, at least when I look at softball numbers, 176 in baseball terms is really low. But when you look at how inflated a lot of these batting averages in softball, where 300 is considered just a pretty okay hitter, when you go all the way down to 170, it's like you're not even hitting.
Absolutely. She has been next-level dominant. The 0-2 pitch to Puiloa misses high with the fastball. The count now 1-2. Down at first base, Swafford 13 of 13 in stolen base attempts on the year. Sweet's got a good arm and a quick release behind home plate.
And I think it'd be hard to believe that they'd spoil that runner on first unless they were absolutely sure she could get down there safely.
That's ready for the 1-2 to the lefty. Puiloa on its way in the dirt for ball 2. Sweet with a very good block. Stopped that ball from getting away.
Good block, and Stafford definitely looked down there. She got a good jump off of the bag at first, but again, the block by Sweet really prevented anything greater from happening there.
The outfield shaded deep on the lefty, junior Kaylee Puiloa. Betza gets her sign. The 2-2 pitch on its way. Swinging a foul back to the screen and over the screen. And this Georgia Bulldogs offense spoiling some pitches for Megan Betza, making her work a bit out there on the rubber.
I think Megan Betza really has Puiloa saying, "Pooh, why? That pitch is low? She can't get in there."
Jeremy, that's the worst pun of all time. Infield at double play depth for the Wolverines. Betza winds the 2-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. Runner going down to second to throw. Bounced off the glove, I believe, of Abby Ramirez as she tried to apply the tag.
I think if she would have held on to that one, they would have had Swafford down at second, but a close play, almost a strike him out, throw him out.
Puiloa down on strikes, down to second is Anna Swafford with 2 outs, and that brings up the catcher, Maeve McGuire, who's hitting .333 on the season for the Bulldogs.
Hey, Morris, I think we forgot to mention that our producer is also here with us tonight, Eli Sherman, the baseball man himself.
Yep, Eli Sherman. And speaking of baseball, the Michigan Wolverines taking on the Iowa Hawkeyes today as there is a conference between Sweet and Betza.
I think that one is almost over. Should be in the bottom of the 9th by now.
There are 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th with Iowa having the tying run at the plate. It's an 8-5 game over on Big Ten Network. But here and now, Maeve McGuire squaring the bunt, pulls back. Betts' first pitch swung on and popped up foul over the stands and actually into the last row of the bleachers where the man in a neon jacket makes a nice two-handed catch.
I think these Michigan fans have flashed more defensive skills than the infield players have needed to this season when Megan Betts is pitching, just because she does so much of it herself.
Well, let me tell you,
striking them out.
The fans are better defensively than that Eastern Michigan team we saw come here earlier
boy.
this year. That
was brutal. In every sense of the word, that was brutal.
Swafford on second base, 2 outs, 0-1 count on Maeve McGuire. Betzel looks in, gets her side. Winds in the 0-1 pitch. Called strike on the outside corner. Hit her spot with pinpoint command there. Sweet held it there. Got the strike call to count 0-2.
I don't know if you can pick him up on our Nat sounds, but home plate umpire Brian Smith is probably one of the more vocal home plate umpires I've heard all season in terms of him ringing up strikes and especially ringing them up on strike 3 calls.
That's the winds. The 0-2 pitch to McGuire. Just misses off the outside corner. Smith might show a lot of enthusiasm on those called strike 3s, but he's had a pretty tight strike zone on the day. The count now 1-2 on McGuire.
If the ball catches any part of the strike zone, it's a strike. I'm questioning that one, Morris.
Now 1-2 on McGuire. Betzel looks in, shakes off the sign, now gets her sign. The 1-2 pitch. Swing and a miss on a pitch in the dirt. Sweet picks it up, throws down to first. Blanco makes the catch on the bag. And that's the third out of the top half of the second for the Georgia Bulldogs. Betza gives up a 1-out walk, but nothing more. We head to the bottom of the second inning with the Michigan Wolverines leading this one 4-0. You're listening to WCBN FM Ann Arbor's broadcast of Michigan softball.
Morris, she did it. You know what Megan Betza did?
What did she do, Jeremy?
You know what she surpassed? And I missed it, honestly. I feel bad about it. She hit the over 300 strikeout mark on the season. She's now at 302.
That's incredible.
That's what?
302 strikeouts in fewer than 200 innings pitched. She's what? The pace that she has established is pretty unreal. And while Jeremy squeals inhumanly,
Megan Betza pitches inhumanly.
Yeah, that 176 batting average with runners on base, that's fallen now, obviously, but opposing hitters hitting 159 against her on the season heading into the game. It's beyond words how dominant she's been on the bump for the Wolverines this season. Obviously, she hasn't faced the elite lineups in the country since perhaps the beginning of the season, but right now she's coming up against the number 14 team in the nation, and she's been totally unbothered by them.
Even back at the beginning of the season, when they played number 1 Florida to kick everything off, and they only lost that game 2-1, and then turning around and beating number 6 Florida State twice in a row back in February, and then they beat number 3 Alabama twice within 2 days. And this team is capable of winning the whole thing, I think. I really believe that they have the tools to do it. And the alumni band is playing New York, New York right now, but I think the Wolverines are really thinking OKC, OKC.
Yeah, we'll see about that, but I had to come back with one there, Jeremy.
With the snipe.
Jeremy Gray, or Brittany Gray, sorry, I botched my names there. Brittany Gray still on the rubber for the Georgia Bulldogs. Able to at least put out the fire a little bit last inning for the Georgia Bulldogs. She faced 3 hitters, hit Ramirez with a bases loaded pitch to knock in a run, credited to Chelsea Wilkinson. But other than that, handled her business well. She's going to get pretty rude welcome to the bottom of the second inning as Sierra Romero will lead things off for the Wolverines.
I was just about to go there. You were going to say she saw 3 batters, but she didn't see the National Women's Softball Player of the Year,
according to ESPNW.
But an honor nonetheless.
Absolutely.
It really is a testament to everything that she's been able to accomplish this season. And all around, this team won award after award after award. I remember when we were down at the Big Ten tournament beforehand, just writing down all of the honors for everyone on this team. First team, second team, all defensive, pitcher of the year, player of the year. Just the hits keep coming and the hardware keeps coming for the Wolverines. And they're really just cruising right now.
Romero walked in the first inning. Gray's first pitch to Romero is swung on, grounded through the left side for a base hit. First pitch signal for Sierra Romero. And, she can't hit them all over the fence, but.
And Mama, there she go again. She just keeps doing it.
Yeah,
there is no slowing her down, Morris. None.
She can spray hits to every part of the field. Maybe the best bunter on this Wolverines team.
Yeah, we saw her lay down probably the best bunt I've seen them drop down all season last week.
Kelly Christner up at the bat now. Takes the first pitch low and away for ball one. Christner ignited this Wolverines offense with a 2-run homer last inning in the bottom of the first.
The Wolverines dugout jumping up and down right now. They are excited as can be.
The 1-0 pitch from Gray misses low for ball two. The count 2-0 on Christner. Kelsey Susala waiting on deck. And there are no off at-bats for opposing pitchers. Brittany Gray is just going to have to muster up the courage to find the zone against one of these Wolverines hitters. The count 2-0.
She's going to have to find it, but these are not the hitters you want to have to try and find it against. Coming up on the meat of the order.
The 2-0 pitch to Christner, called strike. Breaking ball found the inside half of the plate. Popped out of the glove of catcher Maeve McGuire, but on first base, Sierra Romero going nowhere. The count 2-1.
Again, if you really think that there is a meat of the order, I think there's meat all around this order.
Count 2-1 on number 21 for the Wolverines, Kelly Christner. Gray winds the 2-1 pitch, breaking ball, called strike on the outside corner. Maeve McGuire fired up that Gray got that one by Kelly Christner, an off-speed pitch that just had hit me screaming all over it if Christner were sitting on it.
Every so often we see that low looping breaking ball come in, and it only works if they're expecting something totally different at the plate.
The 2-2 pitch to Christner, swinging a tapper foul behind home plate and back to the backstop.
Well, here comes the two-strike fouling off everything routine, and it's going to be a tough ask for Brittany Gray to knock down Kelly Christner here, as she's going to protect that plate for dear life.
Gray looks in, winds the 2-2 pitch. Christner swings and lines it right into the glove of the third baseman Swafford. Her throw back to first base, not in time as Romero dives back in there before the throw got there. Christner tattooed that ball down the third base line, but Swafford in the right place at the right time gloved that liner.
That one was a missile, and Swafford with a great play and heads-up awareness down at the hot corner there. She wears a mask on her face, presumably because so many things come in so hot down at third base, but she looks a lot like Bane from Batman down there.
That'll bring up Kelsey Susala. The first pitch from Gray. Susala takes it low and away, trickles away from the catcher McGuire. Romero down to second without a throw. Alert base running there. She was not going on the pitch, but as soon as she saw that one trickle away, she took off.
Well, that's her 19th steal of the season and 22 attempts now, and I don't think they were even considering throwing down to second there.
Romero now in scoring position. Gray with the 1-0 to Susala. She swings and fouls one down the first baseline, ricocheting into the Georgia Bulldogs dugout. Right by assistant coach Bonnie Thole down the first base line. The count 1-1 with 1 out on Kelsey Susala. Susala walked in her last plate appearance.
It looks like Tuba guy is back at it again out here, right? Riling up the crowd.
Gray looks in the 1-1 to Susala. Check swing on a breaking ball low. They appeal down to third base, and third base ump Lauren Esteric says that, yes, Susala went too far, and I think we could tell that from up here.
Yep, just a bit too far.
Count now 1-2 on Susala. Romero awaits on second base.
If 180 degrees was even, she went 181 degrees there.
The 1-2 pitch is Swan and tapped foul down the third baseline. That one bouncing off the Wolverines dugout out to shortstop, where Paige Wilson will pick it up and toss it back to her girl on the mound.
And we got a quick update from the producer. Eli Sherman, Michigan baseball has beaten Iowa 8-5 and will play in the Bracket 1 championship game on Saturday in the Big Ten tournament over in Minneapolis.
The 1-2 pitch from Gray. Susala swings, taps down the first base line, and that one trails just foul before it's picked up by the first baseman, Tina Yosefa. Count still 1-2 on Kelsey Susala, who's hitting .369 on the season.
Baseball got it done. Now softball trying to get it done here under the lights. Doing pretty darn well so far with that 4-0 lead.
The 1-2 pitch to Gray. Susala swings, pops it up. That one will settle right into the glove of the shortstop, Paige Wilson, as she comes out to make that catch. 2 outs now for the Wolverines, and that brings up Lauren Sweet, who singled up the middle in her last at-bat.
Well, good work here by Brittany Gray to come back after giving up that leadoff single to Sierra Romero and really showing that she isn't intimidated by it, coming back and getting 2 quick outs off these Wolverines hitters.
Gray's first pitch to Sweet is swung on, tapped toward the left side, picked by the third baseman Swafford. She throws across the diamond to first base and retires Lauren Sweet. The first pitch ground out ends the inning for the Wolverines. They don't tally any runs in that even-numbered inning, but we will head to the top of the third with the Wolverines leading this one 4-0. The reason I mentioned that the second inning is an even-numbered inning is because in their most recent victory over the Pittsburgh Panthers, the Wolverines scored in the first, the third, and the fifth innings
in that run rule.
No, it was not a run
Was
rule.
that one not a run
They won
rule?
that one 10-3.
Ah, it was close.
It was close. 1 run away. Kelsey Susalla's home run to right field, perhaps the highlight of that game.
One of the 3 in the last 13 that wasn't a run rule. They all just start to blend together up here in the broadcast booth.
Yeah, wins are wins, and the Wolverines will take them any way that they can come. Out in left field, the Wolverines are dancing. It looks like Mary Sabonik dancing to whatever's playing over the loudspeakers. I'm sure Jeremy's a little more familiar with the music than I am.
Well, I was actually checking in over here on any other scores from the country. I didn't remember if there were any other games going on tonight, but again, it was just the Tennessee-Florida State game. Again, Tennessee came back and won that one 3-2. Tomorrow, there's going to be 5 games, potentially, based off of whether or not each super regional is going to need 2 or 3 games. 5 are scheduled. There could be more.
And we will be here, well, Jeremy will be here tomorrow to cover Michigan taking on the Georgia Bulldogs. I'm not going to make it, but our WCBN cohort, Andrew Hausman, will be more than fit to step into my shoes and, well, actually, be stepping into your shoes because you'll probably be doing play-by-play tomorrow.
More than likely, and I hope he doesn't step into either of our shoes because that man has some big feet.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to size 12. I don't know what exactly. Maybe he walked softly. Hausman stands at about 6'4", 210. Would you say about 220 pounds?
I'd say, I think eating a lot of late-night Pizza House with him throughout the year, I think he might be somewhere up around the 230 range. But maybe he's worked it off in the last couple of weeks since he's been away from good old Pizza House.
He brings an intimidating presence to the broadcast booth. Speaking of intimidating presences, Betts is still out there on the rubber for the Wolverines. The Georgia Bulldogs have no runs on no hits. Through 2 innings so far, the Wolverines 4 runs on 3 hits. No errors made by either side yet. Betsa has recorded 4 strikeouts today. 5 strikeouts, my mistake. The brilliant camera work here of ESPN showcasing a crescent moon in the sky. It looks very clear up there. Up to the plate for the Georgia Bulldogs, the righty Nyasia Griffin, the center fielder.
This Bulldogs dad does not stop cheering.
Griffin lines that one up the right center field gap. That one's going to roll all the way to the wall. Lawrence picks it up, fires it in toward the cutoff player Romero, and Nyasia Griffin into second base with a first pitch stand-up double.
Well, Betts are going to have some work to do now to try and limit the damage after the leadoff double, and she settles in after giving up big hits. Sometimes it takes her a few pitches. We'll see how she comes back here on the 9th hitter in the order for the Bulldogs.
That 9 hitter is the left fielder, Courtney Emanuel. She and her sister, Sydney, man the corner outfield spots for the Bulldogs. The first pitch to the lefty, Emanuel, swung on, popped up, foul down the third baseline. That one going to find its way out of play and onto the lawn beyond the stands, running down that third baseline. 0-1 count now on Courtney Emanuel.
They also bat 9-1 in the order for the Bulldogs, as well as manning those corner outfield spots.
Both of them hitting over 400 on the year. Emanuel with a 4.11 average. The infield shaded in on Courtney Emanuel. That's the winds, the 0-1 pitch. Swinging a pop-up foul to about the same area on that lawn down the third base line. Emanuel has been tardy on the first 2 pitches. She's behind in the count 0-2.
Courtney Emanuel, the true freshman out here for the Bulldogs. And her sister is a junior, but really under her tutelage, and she's performed well. That 4.11 average is relatively unheard of in a 9 spot.
Betza gets her sign from Sweet, looks in, winds. The 0-2 pitch, swinging a pop-up foul again in the same spot down the third base line over the screen. The count remains 0-2. And Emmanuel, an absolute demon on the base pass. She has stolen 45 bases on the year in 49 attempts, blazing speed. The Wolverines probably don't want to let her get on the base pass and wreak havoc there.
Not one bit. Got some Usain Bolt speed out there on the base pads.
That are some insane numbers.
Rocking the D. Gordon stolen base numbers.
On second base, Nyasha Griffin is 12 for 12 on the year stealing bases.
Stealing third, probably not the most prudent move at this juncture for the Bulldogs.
Betza looks in, gets her sign from Sweet, comes set. The 0-2 pitch to Emmanuel. Swinging a tapper to third base. Monty Fields throws over to first, and Blanco can't handle it. It was a wild throw. Griffin takes a wide turn around third base, a rare error. I think that's going to go down as a throwing error, although Blanco had to stretch a long ways, but probably should have come up with that ball.
I think Monty, normally a sure arm over there at the hot corner at third, but really had a little bit of trouble making the transfer out of the glove. Maybe rushed her throw a little bit, and it was low and away, and Blanco did a good job of even knocking it down with her glove. Just couldn't really squeeze on it to get the out. But Megan Betza in a little bit more trouble here now.
Openers on first and third. That brings up Sydney Emmanuel. She calls time, steps out of the box. The infield shading in for the Wolverines, so perhaps that's just a function of Emmanuel's lack of power at the dish. The first pitch from Betza misses high for ball one.
Betza going to have to settle herself in here. Realize that she does have a 4-run lead behind her, and even if that runner on third base does manage to get around, that she's still sitting in a good position there on the circle.
Betza looks in, the 1-0 pitch. Swinging a fly ball left field, Christner up with it, throwing toward the plate. It's a 1-hopper, 2-hopper, and it ricochets off the body of the base runner Griffin. She slides in safely to home plate. Moving down to second on the throw is Courtney Emmanuel. It's a sacrifice fly for Sydney Emmanuel, and the Georgia Bulldogs are on the board now, trailing 4-1 here in the top of the third.
Well, I think Christner came up with that one real fast and made a good throw into home. The ball actually, I believe, hit the runner as she slid into home plate, but it sort of got away from Lauren Sweet at the catcher position, and that allowed Emmanuel on first base to get down to second.
Yeah, Betza backing up the play, but she was more toward the backstop in case that ball found its way past Sweet unencumbered. If that ball had rolled all the way to Betza, I think Courtney Emmanuel would have been a dead duck going down to second base, but instead she was able to get there pretty safely as that ball trickled away from Sweet, and Betza couldn't pounce on it in time.
Well, had Nyasha Griffin slid in maybe a second or two later, that throw would have been pinpoint where you want to put a throw to the plate. Down low, right where Lauren Sweet wouldn't really have to make any movements, just set her glove down.
That brings up Alex Hugo. Betza's first pitch to Hugo misses high with the fastball. The count 1-0.
Griffin did have some speed on her, though, with those 12 steals, and couldn't quite throw her out there.
1 out runner on second base for the Bulldogs. They trail by 3 in the top of the third. Alex Hugo, their premier power hitter at the plate, calls time and steps out of the box, trying to throw off Megan Betza on the rubber, make her work, make her sweat out there on this cool late spring night at Alumni Field.
Well, Betza made quick work of Hugo in the last inning. She got her striking out looking.
The 1-0 pitch to Hugo misses high for ball 2. The count now 2-0. Yeah, Hugo went down looking on a 3-2 pitch about belt high, but Betza has missed that high part of the strike zone in her last 2 pitches.
Got to rein that control in if you're Megan Betza. We've seen it slip before, and it's a matter of her reaching out and pulling it back.
Betza winds. The 2-0 pitch to Hugo. Swing and a line drive into the glove of Montemurano at third base. She took one step to her right and backhanded that one just before it hit the dirt. Big out for Betza and the Wolverines. Now with 2 outs, that brings up Paige Wilson.
Monty making up for that poor throw she had to first earlier with a nice defensive play there, flashing some good leather. That one could have spelled a lot of trouble if she didn't get that glove down at the corner. That would have gotten by her and gone into foul territory, but would have been a fair ball and would have spelled a lot of trouble there. So a good play by Monty nonetheless.
Wilson, the lefty, struck out in her first at-bat. The first pitch by Betza, swinging a foul back to the screen. That one a fastball running on the outer edge. Wilson barely got a piece of it. Emmanuel hasn't made movements towards stealing down there at second base. Sierra Lawrence shaded in center field, ready to come up throwing on a base hit here with 2 outs.
Paige Wilson has hit an even 500 with runners in scoring position so far this season.
56 RBI to show for it. The 0-1 pitch called strike on the outside corner. Betza pouring in that fastball.
Really some good numbers on Wilson. She's 440 with base runners on in general, and with 2 outs, she's hitting 407. But again, we've talked about how little statistics mean to these Wolverines, as they'll blow by you regardless of what your numbers are.
Betza's 0-2 pitch to Wilson. Misses way high with the fastball. An ambitious secondary lead there by Emmanuel. She thought that might get by Lauren Sweet, but to her credit, Sweet very quick out of the crouch to get up and grab that one. The count 1-2 on Paige Wilson, the lefty.
Yeah, good reflexes behind the plate from Sweet there.
Betza takes a long look in. Gets her sign, comes set. The 1-2 pitch to Wilson. Swing and a miss on a fastball up and out of the zone. Betza climbed that ladder once again, and Paige Wilson could not climb with her. Betza gives up an unearned run thanks to the sac fly by Sydney Emmanuel, but limits the damage there. We head to the bottom of the third inning with the Michigan Wolverines leading the Bulldogs 4-1 here at Alumni Field. You are listening to WCBN FM Ann Arbor's broadcast of Michigan softball. Thank you for tuning in.
Well, we mentioned we needed Betza needed to really settle herself when she had runners on first and third with none out. And really, if that runner on third scored, it wasn't going to be the end of the world. And the Wolverines still holding a 3-run lead after Betza limited the damage and only allowed the 1 run to come in on that sacrifice fly to left. And a good job by her to really rein herself in and keep those pitches coming as well as she possibly could have under the circumstances.
Yeah, I think the notion that pitchers pitch to the score or adapt their approach based on different circumstances, I think that concept may be a little bit overblown. It's perhaps most famously used to campaign for Jack Morris's Hall of Fame candidacy in Major League Baseball, but I don't think that Betza really has adapted her approach in this one either. She's still been flashing her same dominant stuff regardless of who is on base, and she's going to need to just stay in her groove throughout this game. She hasn't really looked off for the Wolverines so far today, really only undone thanks to the error by her third baseman, Monte Morano.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say adapting the approach is necessarily what I mean. I'm meaning more that when she gives up big hits, say she gives up the solo home runs or she gives up the leadoff double, the next couple of pitches for her are the key always, and sometimes she's a little bit shaky coming out of those next few pitches and starts to lose a little bit of her control. And like I said, the big thing for her is to really pull herself back in and start to control those pitches again after letting a few get away from her every once in a while if she makes a mistake or two, or if her infielders make a mistake that put her in a poor position. Not necessarily saying, I'm going to throw a different pitch because this is the situation on the base path.
Yeah, that's fair. And I'd say that to her credit, she did buckle down after that leadoff double by Nyasia Griffin. And that was really a frozen rope off the bat of Griffin. Not something we really see a lot of off of Megan Betza, but she hit that under the glove of Romero at second base, and it had enough velocity on it that it rolled all the way out to that right center field wall.
It had the right trajectory to give her a double.
Yeah, and perhaps only thanks to Lawrence's speed in center field was she limited to that double.
Yeah, she was upstanding easily with the 2-bagger.
Leading off this inning for the Wolverines will be the third baseman, Lindsay Montemorano. She was, if I'm not mistaken, hit by a pitch in her first at-bat. That one loaded the bases for Aiden Falk and began the cascade of scratched-out runs for the Michigan Wolverines. They got 2 runs with the bases loaded against the Georgia Bulldogs.
Monty wasn't hit, actually. If you recall, we were talking about how funny it was as she fouled off pitch after pitch after pitch. She was down 1-2 in the count, worked it back full, and got herself a walk in a 10-pitch at-bat.
The endless at-bat. The first pitch from Gray misses a bit high and a bit outside for ball 1.
It's Ramirez who got plunked there earlier in the game.
You're correct on that. The count 1-0 on Montemorano. Gray gets her sign. The 1-0 pitch. Called strike on the outside corner at the knees. The count 1-1 now. The infield shading deep and straight away on the third baseman, Montemorano.
Brittany Gray done pretty well since she came in relief. Has only given up 1 hit to these Wolverines. She's faced 7 hitters so far.
Gray winds. The 1-1 to Montemorano. Shows bunt, pulls back. Pitch misses outside for ball 2. And that 1 hit was a single given up to Sierra Romero. And I got to hit her with that kind of power and stature. Perhaps she's fortunate to only give up a single.
And again, you got to tip your hat to Gray. After looking a little bit shaky when she came in, she settled herself and has performed well.
The 2-1 pitch swung on and fouled off of the catcher, Maeve McGuire, off her foot. The count 2-2 now on Montemerano.
Really, the only missteps that she's taken was plunking Abby Ramirez and giving up that single to Romero.
The count 2-2 on Montemerano. Nobody on, nobody out here in the bottom of the third. The 2-2 pitch, breaking ball misses low and away. Good eye there by Montemerano. That pitch looked tempting.
And I think Monty lifted the bat off of her shoulder maybe an inch or two before she thought better of it and decided to hold up. And she's worked the count full for herself.
The payoff pitch from Gray. Swing and a line drive foul down the right field line. That one going to find its way into the Wolverines bullpen. The count remains 3-2. And I got to say, the amount of strikes she's fouled off with 2 strikes might be in double digits by the end of today's game.
Very well could be. Well, if she's going to be really happy if she works another walk here. After her last walk, she turned around going down the first base line and started sprinkling the cheese on the pizza, just celebrating like she got an RBI single, but it was just because of how hard she worked for that walk.
The 3-2 pitch, swinging a chopper back up the middle, a sliding stop by the second baseman, Hugo. What a pick, throws over to first and hits Montemerano. Not only did she slide to make that play, but picked that short hopper right out of the dirt. Could have been a vicious hop, but Hugo handled it like a pro.
That was pretty. I like that.
That was flashing the leather to the extreme.
I mean, that was about as fluid as it gets from the slide to the transfer to the throw. That was just a fantastic defensive play from Hugo.
Yeah, I got to offer a tip of my headset to Hugo for that play. That brings up Aiden Falk with 1 out, nobody on. First pitch from Gray. Falk lets it go by her, blowing away for ball 1.
But you do tip your hat as well to Monty for working the count again. She's really forcing the pitcher's hands and making them throw a lot of extra pitches and excess pitches just because of the way she fouls off.
Gray most likely going to have to go the distance in this one. The 1-0 pitch to Falk, swinging a line drive, base hit right up the middle into center field. Falk with a 1-out single. Found a pitch to her liking and drove it right back where it came from.
No fancy work from Hugo that time. Just a little bit too much up the gut for anybody to do anything about it.
That will bring up Tara Blanco.
Looks like Carol Hutchins may be readying a pinch runner.
Aiden Falk often, when she gets on base, has someone
to be Nikki
run
Wald.
for her.
I think that's Nikki Wald with the 8 on her back there.
That will be Nikki Wald pinch running for Aiden Falk. Falk more than likely will regain her spot in the batting order next time she comes up. But for now, Nikki Wald offers a little more speed for the Wolverines, a little flexibility, maybe even just a little bit of rest for Aiden Falk after lighting out that single. Blanco 0 for 1 on today's game. Popped up, foul down the right field line with the bases loaded in her last at-bat. It was a nice running catch by Sydney Emanuel that kept the Wolverines off the board for the time being. The first pitch from Gray. This is off the plate outside for ball 1.
Well, we talk about it when Tara Blanco comes up to the plate a lot. Her average isn't really that high, 286, but when she hits the ball hard, and she hits it pretty darn far.
Gray, the 1-0 pitch to Blanco, swinging a chopper to third base, fielded by Swafford. She throws across the diamond to first base for the second out of the inning, opting not to go to second for the force on Wald. So 2 outs now for the Wolverines. Nikki Wald moves to second base on the ground out, and that'll bring up Abby Ramirez.
Seen a lot of hard choppers here tonight, and on both sides of the ball defensively, both the Bulldogs and the Wolverines have done a good job at managing those hops in what can sometimes be a really tricky turf dirt field here.
First pitch to Ramirez. She swings and fouls one down the third base line into the screen, and that'll find its way, looks like almost into the crowd. Actually found a little resting place between the screen and the fence along that left field line. The left fielder, Courtney Emanuel, able to pick that ball out and give it back to the pitcher. Count 0-1 on Ramirez. Hit by a pitch with the bases loaded in her first at-bat. The 0-1 pitch, Ramirez check swing, lets that one go by high for ball 1.
Halo pitch, that one was above the head on the short stature of Abby Ramirez.
Ramirez, not a very tall hitter, but also not very patient. Only 16 walks to go with 16 strikeouts on the year. The 1-1 pitch from Gray Ramirez with a slow roller down the first baseline. Grayfield throws it into right field. It got away from the first baseman, Josefa. Ramirez down to second base. Wald scores on the throwing error by the pitcher, Brittany Gray. That was basically what not to do as a pitcher.
Well, I think Gray really rushed the toss there. She had time on Ramirez. She was going to be able to make a good, easy throw, but really rushed herself. I think she misjudged the speed of Ramirez down the line and just sort of really messed that one up, I guess. Throwing that one in the dirt past Josefa into right field, and Emmanuel had to come in and save that. And really, I'm surprised that Ramirez held up at second base. She would have had a hard time getting thrown out at third.
Sierra Lawrence at the dish now for the Wolverines. Squares to bunt, misses. And that's strike one on the Wolverines center fielder, Nikki Wald, with a big secondary lead down at second base, but with no one holding her close, there could be no throw from the catcher, Maeve McGuire. 0-1 now on Lawrence, who has a strikeout looking at a ground out to third in her 2 at-bats today. The 0-1 pitch. Called strike on the outside corner at the knees. Great location there from Brittany Gray. Ahead of the count, 0-2 on Lawrence.
Sierra Lawrence still trying to bust herself out of what has been an uncharacteristically cold last couple of games here. Really, since before the Big Ten tournament, has not been herself at the plate.
0-2 pitch. Lawrence takes it high and out of the zone for ball one.
She has quit hitting on a lot of early pitches, which I think is doing her some good, but she's having a lot of trouble reading pitches lately and being able to get around on them the way she wants to.
1-2 the count on Lawrence. Gray winds the pitch. Breaking ball misses low and away. Good eye there by Lawrence, and now we have twos across the board. Number 22, Sierra Lawrence, with a 2-2 count and 2 outs. A runner on second for the Wolverines.
The stars have aligned for Sierra Lawrence. This is where she breaks out of that slump. Really, the only warm spot was that 2-run home run last week.
The 2-2 pitch misses off the plate outside. The count moves full on Lawrence with Sierra Romero waiting on deck.
Looming. Waiting.
Her presence larger than life.
Watching.
For these Wolverines. Outfield, infield, shaded straight away. Gray, the payoff pitch to Lawrence, swinging a ground ball to short. Bobbled by Wilson. She will have no play at first base. She fakes the throw. And stopping at third base there is Nikki Wald. Should have been a routine end of the inning ground out to Paige Wilson, but it ate her up. She's not displaying the same slick fielding skills that Alex Hugo displayed at second base. And now, thanks to the error, runners on first and third for Sierra Romero. And we've seen it in the past. This Michigan offense does not let mistakes go unpunished.
Again, the difficulty of this turf field, we see it a lot. Just because of the surface, a lot of the ground balls that are hit here at Alumni Field can get some strange bounces on them and can become really hot potato, hard to handle grounders. And I think we saw that there as Wilson came up with it and really struggled as it bounced up a little bit higher maybe than she expected and hit her up in the chest.
Runners at the corners, 2 out for Romero. The first pitch, fastball on the outside corner. First strike one. Sorry to cut you off there, Jeremy.
It's all good. Gray was coming in with the stuff. She's going to have to be careful not to come in too far on the inside on Romero. She's already proved that she is capable of hitting off of Gray.
The 0-1 pitch misses low and away. The count moves to 1-1 on Romero. The corner outfielders, the sisters Emmanuel, both playing about on the warning tracks in their respective positions. The center fielder, Nyasia Griffin, several steps in front of it in center.
And that leaves a lot of open real estate between the infield and the warning track.
The 1-1 pitch grounded through the hole on the right side. Scoring on the play is Wald. Heading to third is Lawrence. The throw to third, not in time by the right fielder, Sydney Emmanuel. A 2-out RBI single by Sierra Romero. The error proves costly for Paige Wilson. The Georgia Bulldogs have made a couple errors on this inning, and the Wolverines have scored a couple runs. They now lead this one 6-1.
It's like a really long documentary in middle school. It just doesn't end. Sierra Romero just doesn't stop hitting the ball. My goodness. That woman does insane things at the plate, Morris.
Romero 2 for 2 on today's game. 2 ground ball singles, 1 to the left side, 1 to the right side. And they have not been cheapy. She barreled up that one. There was no chance for either the first baseman, Josefa, or the second baseman, Hugo. Now, conference on the mound with Georgia's assistant coach, Rick Pauly. Gray still facing runners at the corners with 2 outs.
The second time Rick Pauly's had to come out today. The first time was for Wilkinson, who only got 1 out in this game, and This will be the first mound visit that he will have to make for Brittany Gray, who to this point had been pretty strong in relief, had only given up 1 hit, but she's given up 2 here in the bottom of the second. And like we mentioned earlier, before you know it, the Wolverines in these odd number innings are back at it again.
There you go. They also gave up a run in the top half, and I can't remember the last time the Wolverines have lost an inning.
Do I need to give my winning innings speech?
Christner at the plate. She hit the ball hard in 2 at-bats. The first pitch she sees, she swings and misses. Romero down to second on delayed steal. Christner just swung there to protect the runner. Now the Wolverines have runners on second and third with 2 outs.
Winning innings. Poet, and I don't even know it, but the Wolverines, every time they give up a run, come back and score at least 1, if not more. It's crazy.
The 0-1 count on Christner. Gray delivers. Fastball just misses off the inner half of the plate for ball 1. The count 1-1. Christner's hit the ball very hard in 2 plate appearances. Homered to center in her first at-bat and ripped the line drive right into the glove of the third baseman Swafford in her last plate appearance. The count 1-1 on Christner. Runners on second and third are Romero and Lawrence, respectively. Gray back on the rubber, looks in, gets her sign. The 1-1 pitch. Check swing on a breaking ball in the dirt. It will appeal down to third base, and third base Lauren Esteric rules that she did not go around.
That was about as close as it gets without having to be rung up for going there. It looked to me like she did from up here, but I will trust the appeal.
The 2-1 pitch now to Christner. Swinging a tepper off of her front foot. Looked like it was in fair territory, but as Christner limps down the first base line, you can tell that that one hit off of her, and home plate Brian Smith all over that call. The count now 2-2 with 2 outs on Christner.
It's going to be off her outside foot there. She doesn't have to generate that much power off of the front foot. That falls more on the back, so maybe a little bit lucky it was on the front and not the back foot.
The 2-2 pitch. Fastball misses low. The count now full on Christner with Kelsey Susella waiting on deck.
She's still shaking that foot a little bit, trying to work it out.
Christner fighting through that hurt foot. Full count, runners on second and third, 2 outs in the bottom of the third. The 3-2 pitch, swinging a line drive under the glove of Wilson into center field. That's going to score 2 runs. Romero scores from second, Lawrence scores from third. Not a great inning for Paige Wilson over at shortstop. The Wolverines have tallied 4 runs, mostly at her expense. They now lead this one 8-1.
Your everyday Bill Buckner play there. Wilson unable to get the glove down, and it just went right between her legs. A little nutmeg there from Kelly Christner, and she's going to bring around 2 more and tack her 3rd and 4th RBIs of the day.
Sierra Romero has scored twice today in today's game, and that ties her for the most runs scored in Michigan history, tying her with Tracy Conrad. 223 career runs for Sierra Romero. Kelsey Susella at the dish. The first pitch she sees misses low for ball 1. An illustrious career for Sierra Romero, and even greater things wait ahead for her.
And it's still a young career, too. That's the most impressive thing. If she stays here for the entire 4 years, she stands to break every offensive record that this team has.
The 1-0 pitch to Susella. Breaking ball misses low. And, yeah, they might have to just write a whole new record book for Sierra Romero.
Hits, home runs, runs. You name it, she's got it.
Yeah, incredible stuff. Producer Eli Sherman pointing out that Romero has tied for the all-time runs lead, but he's not listening to our broadcast.
He was down the way. He missed us mentioning it.
The 2-0 pitch to Susella misses off the plate inside for ball 3. The count 3-0. Christner on first base. They ruled that the hit for Christner, a base hit, even though it did get under the glove of Paige Wilson, would have been a very tough play for her.
I think it was hit so fast that Wilson had a hard time getting the glove down in the first place.
The 3-0 to Susella misses low for ball 4. A 4-pitch walk to Michigan's right fielder. She's down at first base. Christner moves down to second base. And with 2 on and 2 out, that brings up the catcher, Lauren Sweet.
The hits just keep on coming again, and the struggles continue out on the circle for Brittany Gray this half inning.
Sweet 1 for 2 on today's game. Singled up the middle in 1 plate appearance. Back in the first. The first pitch she sees is fastball that misses low and away. Christner, an aggressive secondary lead off of second base, but it's not going anywhere. The count 1-0 on Sweet. 2 on, 2 out still for the Wolverines. They've tallied a 4 spot here in the bottom of the third, and they're still going. Gray winds the 1-0 to Sweet. Lets it go low and in on her. The count 2-0 now on Lauren Sweet. Lindsay Montemurano led off this inning for the Wolverines. If Sweet gets on base, it'll be the second time that the Wolverines have sent all 9 hitters to the plate. Well, it already is the second time that's occurred. Will be the second time they've batted around, I should say.
Gray working the rosin bag there. Checking out what looks like almost a quarterback's playbook on her left forearm there.
The 2-0 pitch, Sweet swings and grounds one foul on the first base line. A weakly hit ball. Not the type of swing you want to see on 2-1, but saw a pitch to her liking. Credit Gray for not giving her a great pitch to hit.
Well, I just realized that it does look like Brittany Gray has some kind of play calling sheet on an armband that's on her glove forearm.
The 2-1 pitch to Sweet. She swings and lines one foul about 5 feet to the left of Carol Hutchins down the third baseline. The count even at 2-2. And, you know, perhaps that's how they relay the pitches to Brittany Gray rather than doing it from the catcher.
I'm kind of laughing at that foul ball. Came at Coach Hutch. She just kind of shrugged at it as it flew right past her. Not phased.
The 2-2 to Sweet. She swings and ground one toward to the right side. Hugo Fields flips over to first. And that'll do it for the Wolverines here in the bottom of the third. They get 4 more. They lead this one 8-1 over the Georgia Bulldogs. We'll head into the top half of the 4th inning. You're listening to WCBN FM Ann Arbor's broadcast of Michigan softball.
Well, Michigan has put up 4 in the first, none in the second, and 4 in the third. That 404 area code, Morris, that of Atlanta, Georgia itself, really becoming reminiscent of these Bulldogs' backyards.
Sending a message that Georgia may be the talk of the town in Atlanta, but Michigan runs things here in the 7-3-4 in Ann Arbor. And they have run Georgia just about out of this ballpark tonight. An 8-1 lead. And, you know, looking at that last pitch, back to the discussion about the wrist forearm band, it didn't appear as though the catcher, Maeve McGuire, was flashing any signs to Brittany Gray on the bump. So I think that is just a
I've never seen that before in a softball game. It's interesting.
The marvels of modern technology. We have a dance-off going on down the first base line to Usher's Yeah, and coincidentally enough, Usher says, "Peace up, A-Town." And Michigan has issued their own rude welcoming to the Georgia Bulldogs coming out of Atlanta.
Well, you know, Usher was raised in the A. So was Megan Betza.
Yep, Megan Betza doing her hometown team a bit dirty so far. She's thrown 3 innings, given up just 1 unearned run. Got 6 strikeouts so far. And stands-off getting pretty heated as a young lady in a yellow sweater, perhaps a maize sweater, I'm not really sure what the difference is, but looks like she's going to win this dance-off.
Well, you know, these Georgia Bulldogs come out of the city of Athens, and Michigan doing their best Roman Empire impression, really taking over Athens and the Georgia Bulldogs that it contains. But those fans down there on the first base line that have traveled all the way from Georgia travel well, and they seem to be still just as excited as they were when the game started, really hanging on every pitch still.
Well, you know, it doesn't necessarily end today for the Georgia Bulldogs, even if they get run ruled, even if no matter how they lose, they still have tomorrow. Tomorrow brings a new day, momentum. Only as good as your next day's starting pitcher. Michigan, of course, thinks they have the edge in that department in senior Haley Wagner, but Chelsea Wilkinson has put up some great numbers throughout the season. It's entirely feasible that she's able to come back tomorrow after a good night's sleep and, you know, come back and turn the ship around against this Michigan offense. I doubt it happens because this Michigan offense is just so darn deep and spectacular 1 through 9. But, you know, it could happen, and I'm sure that having traveled from Georgia, they're just happy to be here and watch their team go to work. We're about ready to start the top of the 4th inning. It will be Yosefa, Tina Yosefa, the first baseman, leading off for the Bulldogs. 0 for 1 on today's game is Yosefa. Betza looks in. The first pitch to Yosefa. Breaking ball on the outside corner for a called strike. The first pitch breaker threw Yosefa off guard there.
Well, we saw Wagner in the last half inning. She gave up the leadoff double and really settled herself back in after getting into a sticky runners on first and third situation, only giving up 1 run.
The 0-1 pitch is swung and fouled back to the screen. Yosefa tomahawk chopped at a pitch at her head. Able to make contact, surprisingly enough, but the count's still 0-2. Yosefa struck out in her first plate appearance today. Josefa hitting .336 on the season. Betza looks in, winds. The 0-2 pitch. Flunked her on the upper arm. Betza came up and in with that pitch, and Josefa stayed up and in and got hit on an 0-2 count.
Taking one for the team, and an important base runner for the Bulldogs is they haven't really had that many so far tonight, and every single one that they get is going to be valuable as they're working off this 7-run deficit. Perhaps a pinch runner coming in now for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, it looks like the head coach for the Bulldogs, Lou Harris-Champer, exchanging words with Brian Smith, and it will be a pinch runner for the Bulldogs.
That's going to be number 3, Samantha Lazier.
Lazier, a junior outfielder, most likely plays a similar role to the likes of Mary Sabonik and Nikki Wald, Olivia Rich-Valsky. Coming in to provide a quick burst on the base pass. We'll most likely see Josefa back out there in the bottom half of this inning. So that'll bring to the plate Anna Swafford. Swafford drew a walk in her first plate appearance against Megan Betza. It was a well-worked walk. She fouled off a great deal of pitchers. She hits now with a runner on first and nobody out. Betza's first pitch to Swafford misses outside for a ball. Sweet with a quick throw down to first, but Blanca wasn't even on the bag. And back with a head-first dive is Samantha Lazier.
Sweet's way of telling Lazier to get back to the bag a little bit more quickly. Don't test her.
Georgia 1 for 1 on stolen base attempts today. The 1-0 pitch now from Betza. Swinging a chopper foul down the third baseline, just out of the reach of the outstretched glove of Lindsay Montemorano.
Another close one there that could have spelled some trouble for Megan Betza. Swafford just needed to get a little bit less around on that one.
Swafford has been seeing Betza's pitches about as well as any Georgia Bulldog has today. Betza looks in, winds the 1-1 pitch. Swinging a foul back to the screen. The count now 1-2. And her first base on Brick Boyer, keeping a very close eye on Samantha Lazier. Looks like she's leaving pretty early on those secondary leads. Could be something to watch.
Let's keep an eye on it here on this one again.
The count 1-2 on Swafford. Betza looks in, takes a long look, and gets her signed. Readies and delivers the 1-2 pitch. Swinging a fly ball, towering shot to deep center. Lawrence back at the track. She leaps, and it is out of her reach and gone. A moonshot to dead center field off the bat of Anna Swafford, just out of the reach of Lawrence. That's a 2-run home run, and the score now 8-3 here at Alumni Field.
Well, Sierra Lawrence is sitting on top of her glove out in center field. I think she's disappointed that she wasn't born 3 inches taller so she could get that glove to the ball, but missing her by a mere couple of inches there. But that puts the Bulldogs right back into this game, now down by just 5.
7-run game turns into a 5-run game, and long ball's been a bugaboo for Megan Betza so far this season, rearing its ugly head again, and Lawrence got so high in the air, and that ball really just a few inches over her glove. Nothing else she could have done about it, but I understand the disappointment.
In keeping with the Greek-Roman terms, it's been her Achilles heel, per se.
The first pitch to Kaylee Puiloa. This is high for ball 1. Puiloa struck out in her last plate appearance.
Credits to Kaylee Puiloa for allowing me to come up with the worst pun in the history of WCBN softball broadcasts.
Betza's 0-1 pitch, breaking ball finds the outside corner. Yeah, Jeremy, that was pretty awful. I think we should just forget it happened. The count 1-1 on Puiloa.
When we go back and bookmark the highlights from this one, that would probably be the standout moment from the second inning.
Intro material, maybe?
Oh, I'd say so.
The 1-1 pitch to Puiloa, swing and a miss on a fastball up in the zone. Betza battling back after that home run. Ahead in the count 1-2. Puiloa hitting .245 on the year. Betza looks in, winds the 1-2 pitch. Fastball misses way high over the head of Puiloa. The count now 2-2.
Well, when she's climbed the ladder tonight, Megan Betza has missed by a great deal, not really offering anything tempting, whereas normally when she climbs the ladder, it's at least a little bit closer and hitters are a little bit more inclined to bite.
2-2 the count on Puiloa. She winds and delivers. Breaking ball line right into the glove of Ramirez at shortstop for out number 1 on the inning.
Well, that's just some bad luck for Puiloa. She laced that one just laced it right into the wrong spot and right into the glove of Abby Ramirez, but she made some solid contact with that one and rocketed it.
Looked like Betza was trying to hit her with the backdoor breaking ball, but Coelho taking none of that, hitting it hard, unfortunately for her, not getting on base. That'll bring up Maeve McGuire. That's his first pitch, a breaking ball on the outside corner, allowed a called strike by home plate ump Brian Smith.
He's been very vocal behind the plate tonight when he has called strikes. He has exhibited one of the smaller strike zones we've seen as of late. Been very stingy on the corners.
Lefty McGuire shows bunt, pulls back. The 0-1 pitch grounded softly to short. Ramirez fields on a couple hops, throws over to first, and that's the second out of the inning for the Georgia Bulldogs.
Another good defensive play by Ramirez there. Judged the hop well, and just a mostly routine ground ball out, if there ever was such a thing with this team.
That brings up Nyasia Griffin. Led off last inning with a double up the right center field gap on the first pitch. Showing bunt now, pulls back the first pitch from Betza. Check swing. Did not go around on a fastball that missed high. The count 1-0.
They did judge that double by Nyasia Griffin went to center field, but it really found the gap between center and right and allowed her to round first and get a two-bagger.
She swings the 1-0 pitch and grounds it over to third. Montemurano fields, tosses across the diamond, and records the out. A quick one-hopper. Monty playing in on the play, had plenty of time to unload with the throw. Georgia gets two back on the Swafford home run to dead center field. But they still trail in this one, 8-3 to the Wolverines as we head into the bottom of the fourth inning. You are listening to WCBN FM Ann Arbor's broadcast of Michigan softball. Thanks for tuning in.
We do thank you for tuning in as this game is being nationally televised. We always love it when we have a good listener base come in on nationally televised events, and it looks like we've done just that again tonight as you keep coming back to listen to our bad puns and our witty banter, and we thank you for that. Also, feel free to interact with us on Twitter at WCBN Sports. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channels if you haven't already, as we bring you not only Michigan softball, but all Michigan sports. It's just that Michigan softball wins a lot more than most Michigan sports, and you probably like tuning into that more than anything else.
Yeah, really, it's been a joy to cover this team. It's the usual duo of Lauren Connell and Tara Blanco sparking the wave around Alumni Field, and they've got it going in full force.
Morris, this is going to be your last one of the season, buddy. I'm going to miss you throughout these, hopefully last just one super regional game, potentially two, and if things allow and if everything plays out, we really want to bring it to Oklahoma City next week if the Wolverines are to advance out of this super regional. So far, not sure who all would be interested in tagging along with me on that ride, but if they let me, I'm going to be there.
Connell and Blanco getting a slow motion wave to go on. Now a fast motion wave.
Oh, we're really working it tonight.
And they high-five and head back to the dugout. That'll do it for the wave between innings.
Some aerobics in there. Keeping everybody alive out here. Still packed. Not a soul has left this stadium since the game started. And it's to capacity here, Morris, and we've still got people down the third base line in foul territory. They're lined up to see these Wolverines.
I got to say, it's a bit past my bedtime, but...
Well, I'm yawning over here. I need my warm glass of milk.
But these Wolverines are on grown-up schedules, so they can do what they want.
This is what time is it? It's 10:43. This is about a good 3 hours past my bedtime already.
It's about the time, it feels like about the time where that Columbus game started, the final game of the Big Ten tournament. Got off to a late start. We had to drive home after that thanks to the miracle of coffee. We made it back safe and sound.
I don't think I've ever seen a human being drink a cup of coffee faster than Morris Fabry did.
It was lukewarm McDonald's coffee, and it was not terrible.
Down that McCafe sucker right quick he did.
It got the job done. 2 up in this inning for the Wolverines. Montemurano Wald, who will obviously be pinch hit for by Aiden Falk. And then Tara Blanco.
If you can imagine how we kept each other awake on that drive back. Bad puns aplenty.
Yeah, plenty of bad jokes. I offered to freestyle rap for Jeremy, but he wasn't very enthused by the prospect.
Well, I didn't really believe the fact that you came out with a mixtape back in high school, but by God, you did, back to the beat of I Need a Doctor with Dr. Dre and Eminem.
I mean, who hasn't made a mixtape in high school these days?
Me.
Montemurano 0 for 1 on today's game. Grounded out to second. It was a nice play by the second baseman, Alex Hugo, in her last plate appearance. She walked in her first at-bat.
Well, it's an even inning, so don't expect the Wolverines to score any runs here.
They did give up a couple runs, though, and they seem to win every inning. So a couple of trends at odds with each other in this even inning.
Well, we'll see if the Bats can do their best Morris Fabry mixtape impression and continue to be nothing but straight fire.
Enough of that. A little bit of a break before we get started. Everybody's in their positions, but the TV timeout causing an extended break.
It appears as though our producer, Eli Sherman, is trying to write something for us, but his handwriting is the equivalent of a preschooler's. I can't really tell what he's trying to scrawl out here in chicken scratch.
It's hard to criticize a guy's handwriting when my own handwriting is worse.
Ooh, boy.
Yeah, second grade was rough for me.
I never learned how to hold a pen or a pencil, so thanks, Mom and Dad. But my handwriting is legible.
First pitch to Montemarano misses in the dirt low for ball one.
Oh, it appears as though he's trying to give us the Big Ten baseball tournament bracket. The baseball man he is. We're softball men, Sherm.
We'll update you on that as soon as Sherman gets it all scrawled out.
And then we'll have to spend a couple minutes trying to figure out what it says, but we'll get it to you.
The 1-0 pitch to Montemarano. Fastball in there for a called strike on the outside corner. Good job there by Maeve McGuire holding that ball firm on the outside corner. She's been quite adept at framing the ball.
A good location there from Gray as well.
The count 1-1 on Montemarano. Gray winds the pitch, misses high for ball two.
Now he's circling things, trying to point things out to us. Morris, can you decipher it?
No.
If people wanted to hear the baseball bracket, they'd tune into the baseball broadcast.
Well, that's shots fired here. We'll read it for you between innings, but for now, 2-1 count on Montemarano. Gray winds, delivers, breaking ball, just misses low and away. For ball three, the count now 3-1.
We're broadcasting national championship material here, Sherman.
3-1 the count. Outfield shaded deep on Montemarano. She does have considerable power to the gaps. Gray winds the 3-1 pitch. Monty shows bunt, pulls back, pitches outside for ball four. Her second walk of the game leads off this bottom of the fourth inning for the Wolverines.
Another word with Coach Carol Hutchins. Probably looks like she's is she going to substitute out Monty here on first base? I don't know. Monty has good speed, though. She's making some sort of change here with.
She's putting Aiden Falk back into the game. Aiden Falk was pinch run for by Nikki Wald last inning, but Michigan needs her back in the lineup.
Astute, Morris.
Yeah, maybe I should be color commentator and play-by-play. What do I need you for? Oh, yeah, the jokes.
Maybe you're just Sierra Romero. You're just a one-man team.
I keep you around for the humor and the sweet Caroline, Jeremy. The golden pipes. I need you to counterbalance my raspy set of vocal cords.
Always happy to provide, Morris.
Falk back up at the dish for the Michigan Wolverines. She is 1 for 1 on today's game with a single and a walk. Gray's first pitch to her, she swings, chops it foul on the third base line. Swafford makes a running grab, but it is for naught. The count 0-1 on Aiden Falk.
Swafford has shown some incredible speed over on that third base line and getting to things and quick reflexes to make quite a few nice plays over there so far today.
She's done it on both ends of the diamond as her home run is part of the reason why this is still even a close-ish game. Count 0-1 on Falk. Gray winds, delivers, and it's a called strike at the belt on the outside corner with the fastball. The count 0-2 now on Aiden Falk.
Falk going to have to battle her way back here. We know how the Wolverines are with 2 strikes in their counts, but Falk is going to have to work her way out of an 0-2 jam here.
Infield and outfield shaded straight away. The 0-2 pitch to Falk misses high with the fastball. The count now 1-2. The flag in center field barely budging in the breeze. Not a lot of wind today.
That's the first signs of life I've seen that flag make so far tonight as things start to get a little bit cooler here at Alumni Field.
We're down to about 48 degrees, but we're bundled up here outside. The 1-2 pitch to Falk popped up down the third base line. Swafford makes the play, makes the catch in foul territory. That'll be the first out of the inning.
Morris is bundled up. He's got Under Armour. He's got layers. Sweatshirt. I'm out here in shorts and a long-sleeve T-shirt.
I'd be lost without my long underwear, Jeremy. I run cold.
This I know. We've broadcasted outside several times throughout the season.
I'm so glad winter is just about over. Tara Blanco at the dish for the Wolverines now. She's 0 for 2 on today's game. A pop out to right and a ground out to third in her 2 at-bats. The first pitch she sees from Gray off the plate outside for ball 1. The crowd has quieted a bit here at Alumni Field. A couple empty seats out in the right field bleachers in those top rows. Perhaps bedtime for some children in attendance. The 1-0 pitch now to Blanco. This is low for ball 2. Blanco, a patient hitter with potent pop at the plate.
Coach Carol Hutchins giving Blanco a little bit of instruction down there at third base on stepping her foot into her swing and driving some power, getting some driving power. Always open for a tip.
The 2-0 to Blanco, called strike at the knees. A close pitch, Blanco didn't like it, but now the count is 2-1 on Michigan's first baseman. Blanco hitting .284 on the year with 7 home runs and 45 RBI. Montemurano's on first base. The count 2-1 with 1 out here in the bottom of the 4th. Michigan leading this one 8-3. Gray winds the 2-1 pitch. Blanco takes it. It's off the plate outside. The count is 3-1 now.
Finding herself in a hitter-friendly count. Look for Tara Blanco to get the green light here on 3-1.
You got to imagine if she guesses right on this pitch and uncorks, the ball could travel a very long way.
Tara Blanco over 7 home runs. One of those a very memorable home run that went all the way into Ray Fisher Stadium across the yard. A good 240, 250 feet.
Gray looks in. The 3-1 pitch to Blanco. Swing and a tapper foul down the first base line. Carol Hutchins dodges out of the way in front of the Michigan dugout. The count moves full on Blanco. Out on Ray Fisher Field. The field is illuminated by the lights. I don't think there's going to be any more games on there this season, but
keeping up appearances for the ESPN cameras as they look out that way.
Yeah, perhaps that's as good of an answer as any. The full count pitch to Blanco, swinging a line drive out of the reach of the diving center fielder, Nyasia Griffin, all the way to the wall. Montemurano scores from first base. Blanco pulls into second with a stand-up double. An absolute rocket off of her bat in right center field. Nyasia Griffin almost with a highlight play, but she pays the price for her reckless dive.
Sprinkle that cheese. Tara Blanco down on second base. Another big hit for the Wolverines. And I guess it's an even-numbered inning, but that's not stopping Tara Blanco from driving in the first run of the inning for the Wolverines.
We're going to have another pinch runner for the Wolverines. This one looks like Olivia Rich-Falski down on second base.
I believe that is the 5 on her jersey. Yes, that is Rich-Falski.
That one a pitch down and in at the knees on the inside corner. Blanco got the hands inside, got the barrel on the ball, and hit that one on the screws just beyond the reach of a diving Nyasia Griffin.
Regretting wearing the shorts out here right now, Morris.
It is getting cool, about 47 degrees and dropping.
Freezing my motion off out here.
Abby Ramirez at the plate. She's 0 for 1 today, hit by pitch and grounded into an error in her last at-bat. First pitch she sees off the plate outside. And Ramirez is another hitter for the Wolverines who hasn't quite been as hot at the dish as she has been earlier on in the season. Still a force to be reckoned with at the bottom of the lineup.
Going to do that running up slap hitting routine, trying to hit something to opposite field.
The 1-0 pitch. That one a foul ball off the inside of the bat of Abby Ramirez. Looked like it was in on the hands. She didn't swing, but the ball found her bat.
It always runs Ramirez in close because she takes that slap hitting approach. And
now 1-1 on number 1 for the Wolverines with 1 out and 1 on. 1-1 pitch. Ramirez swings, fouls one off the screen on the third base side above the Michigan dugout. Count now 1-2 on Michigan shortstop. The sophomore Ramirez, only 4 extra base hits on the year, but perfectly capable of slapping one through the hole and scoring a run. She's hitting .320 with runners in scoring position this year.
And she hit 2 long balls late in the season.
The 1-2 pitch from Gray, soft grounder off the glove of Gray. Scampering over to third is Rich-Falski. Ramirez stays at first base. Another error by Brittany Gray against Abby Ramirez. And
we've seen errors aplenty on both sides tonight. That's going to be the 5th in total and the 3rd for the Bulldogs. Really, I don't know if it's the cold weather that's setting in or just getting a lot of unlucky bounces off of the turf dirt here at Alumni Field. But grounders have been hard to handle so far tonight for these players.
Absolutely.
Unusually hard.
Yeah, and we could have even 4 errors for the Bulldogs as Paige Wilson unable to handle a hot shot that turned into a 2-run single for Kelly Christner. That'll bring up Sierra Lawrence. The first pitch from Gray misses low for ball 1. Romero waits on deck, 1 out with runners at the corners. danger time here for the Bulldogs in the bottom of the fourth.
I have to say, though, Lawrence really the only bat that hasn't really heated up to its potential yet.
Lawrence 0 for 3 on today's game, did reach on an error by the shortstop Wilson her last at bat. The 1-0 pitch, Lawrence swings, pops one up foul and out of play on the right side on top of the press box.
And I think Sierra Lawrence, it's more of a mind game at this point. She's just struggled with the hitting. I think the big 2-run home run last week got her feeling good again, but she's been cold here early and really looking to just get even a base hit, something to get you motivated and get you back into the game.
The 1-1 pitch to Lawrence. She takes it for a called strike on the outside corner. The count now 1-2. And Lawrence, to her credit, hit the ball hard a lot of times over the last couple weekends. Didn't really get the benefit of a lot of luck, but today she hasn't been seeing the ball very well.
It's just hard when all of your teammates are hitting as well as they are.
It's that peer pressure. The 1-2 pitch to Lawrence. Swing and a soft liner. Bounces. Fielded by Hugo. She tags out Ramirez. The throw to first gets away from the first baseman, Josefa. Lawrence down to second base. Wald scores on what will be a fielder's choice. Not a great throw there by Hugo. Almost a spectacular heads-up double play. Instead, Lawrence on second base. A run scores, 2 outs, and that brings up Sierra Romero.
Well, Lawrence has good speed, and I don't think that Hugo is going to be able to make the out even if the throw was on target. It was going to be a pretty darn close bang-bang play, but I don't think she was going to be able to make it. And really, nonetheless, the runner winds up at second anyways.
I agree with you. I think Lawrence had that one beaten out. First pitch to Romero, big swing and a miss on a fastball off the plate outside. Could feel the breeze from that one up here, Jeremy.
Sierra wanted to send that one to Ray Fisher.
Romero 2 for 2 on the day with an RBI and 2 runs scored. She's now up to 41 batting average on the season.
I'm ready to see her take this record.
Gray's 0-1 pitch popped up shallow right field. Coming on to make the play will be the right fielder, Sydney Emanuel. We're supposed to be impartial up here in the press box, but
number 63 remains elusive for Romero.
Yeah, you always want to be able to witness history. That'll do it for the Wolverines in the bottom of the fourth. They respond to Georgia's 2-run tally with 2 runs of their own, taking a 10-3 lead into the top of the fifth. Here at Alumni Field, you're listening to WCBN FM Ann Arbor's coverage of Michigan softball. Thank you for tuning in.
The wind picking up now out in center field, the flag blowing lightly. It looks like some people getting ready to leave already tonight. Maybe it's past their bedtimes as well. But we've got obligations here.
Well, you know, the clock's ticking toward 11 right now. Hasn't hit midnight yet, but I'd say that any Cinderella run for Georgia coming to a quick, those dreams coming to a quick dose of reality. The glass slippers falling off this Georgia team. Getting torn apart so far today.
Well, if they don't come away with it tonight, which it's not looking like they will, they're not dead in the water yet. They've got 2 chances tomorrow to pull back. Well, really, they have to win the first one tomorrow. And it's going to be a tall order for the Bulldogs if they don't pull this one out. But, again, like we mentioned, this team is capable of doing just as well as these Wolverines are in terms of hitting and what have you. But they really just haven't been able to find their groove yet tonight. And I think Michigan's benefiting a lot from having home field advantage. I think the crowd getting behind them has really helped, and the early troubles from Wilkinson really set the pace for what would become the rest of the game thus far, which has just been a dominant offensive performance from the Wolverines, and Megan Betza has been good enough to keep it out of their reach so far. Really hasn't made too many mistakes with the exception of the 2-run home run.
Well, we have a minute. We're going to update you on the baseball picture for the Michigan Wolverines. I'm going to attempt to interpret what Eli Sherman has scrawled out. Tonight, the Illinois Fighting Illini are taking on the Maryland Terrapins. The loser of that game will go on to play the Michigan State Spartans, and the winner of that game between the loser of tonight's game and the Michigan State Spartans will play the Michigan Wolverines for the right to get to the championship game in this Big Ten tournament. So I hope that I've interpreted that correctly. If Eli were close by, he could spell it out for me, but as it stands, that's what you're going to get.
Well, we're going to take a quick look and try and get a score for you here on that Illinois-Maryland game.
3 runs, 2 hits, and 4 errors on the game so far for the Bulldogs. 10 runs on 7 hits, and 2 errors for the Wolverines. 2 errors for the Wolverines, one of which was the Montemurano throw over to first base that probably cost them a run, and the other probably the throw home from Kelly Krishner that skittered away and allowed the runner to advance to second base.
Let's see. We're trying to pull up the score here on that Big Ten tournament.
Leading off this inning for the Georgia Bulldogs will be Courtney Emanuel, the number 9 hitter. She was able to reach base on an error her last plate appearance. First pitch from Betza. Swinging a bunt. That one bounces off of home plate and travels foul on the third base side of home plate. 1 strike on Emanuel, who's averaged down to 409 on the year. Emanuel, the speed demon. Bounce one over to Montemurano at third. Her last plate appearance, Montemurano's throw pulled Blanco off the bag.
Looks as though Illinois has just gotten underway within the last 4 minutes here.
That was back in the third inning. The 0-1 pitch now to Emanuel. Breaking ball, awkward swing and a miss. That one dipped down below the zone. The count 0-2 now on Courtney Emanuel.
Tried to do the Abby Ramirez run up and slap it there, but Ramirez a little bit better at it there. Didn't necessarily look comfortable, did Courtney Emanuel.
Well, the 409 average tells a different story, Jeremy.
Well, right now, the stats don't matter to me.
The 0-2 pitch from Betza, another breaking ball, misses low for ball 1. The count now 1-2.
I've been saying it all night, Morris. The stats don't matter to me. They don't matter to these Wolverines. They roll over anybody.
Well, they definitely matter. Emanuel, lefty, stands toward the back of the batter's box so she can run up. The 1-2 pitch from Betza, swinging a line drive, base hit into left field, out of the outstretched reach of Abby Ramirez. A leadoff hit for Courtney Emanuel, and she adds to that now 410 average, and that stat pretty indicative of what was about to occur, Jeremy.
Well, I stand corrected, but, you know, the stats would also say that these Georgia Bulldogs are a lot better at hitting than they've been able to do so far
They
tonight.
put up 3 runs against one of the best pitchers in the country, Jeremy.
Courtesy of 1 shot, 2 of them, and an error coming off the other one.
Okay. The first pitch to Sydney Emanuel. Called strike on the outside corner with the fastball there. I'm not going to get into this argument with you right now, Jeremy. I'll let the play on the field do the talking. Courtney Emanuel on first base. Big-time steal threat. The count 0-1 on her sister, Sydney. Betza looks in, winds. The 0-1 pitch. Misses out with the fastball. Ball bounces away from Sweden. Courtney Emanuel down to second in a flash with a stolen base.
Well, what was that, 45 steals, I think? That would be 46 for Emanuel on the season.
Well, I don't know if they count pass balls as stolen bases in the
47
scorebook,
if they do.
Yeah. The count 1-1.
Nonetheless.
The count 1-1 on Sydney, yeah, still impressive.
A lot of stolen bases.
The 1-1 pitch from Betza. Fastball misses high. The count 2-1 now on Sydney Emanuel. Emanuel 0 for 1 on today's game. Hit a sac fly out to left in her last at-bat. That one scored Nyasia Griffin from third base. Betza gets her sign, comes set. The 2-1 pitch to Sydney Emanuel. Breaking ball misses low for ball 3. The count 3-1. Betza now in a little bit of trouble leading off this top half of the 5th inning.
Just a bit, and she hasn't looked herself, really. Again, talking about having to rein herself back in and start to find that control again.
Betza winds. The 3-1 pitch to Sydney Emanuel. This is high and outside with the fastball. Ball 4. And the Emanuel sisters leading off on base for the Georgia Bulldogs here to start the top half of the 5th inning. 2 on with no outs in a 10-3 softball game. That'll bring up Alex Hugo, the premier power threat in this Georgia Bulldogs lineup. She's been held in check today so far. Struck out looking and lined out to the third baseman, Montemurano, in her 2 at-bats. Always a threat to uncork a long ball, however. There's a brief conference on the mound. Coach Carol Hutchins going out herself to talk with her woman on the mound, or on the circle, I should say, Megan Betza. Lauren Sweet also present for that conversation.
Well, she's got to rein in on trying to climb the ladder so much and trying to work so many balls that she just wants people to chase on, because they're not going to chase on them as often as she wants them to. And right now it's causing her a lot of problems. And really, she's got to go back to the bread and butter, Morris, of just hurling the fastballs in my opinion, because that's where she starts to blow hitters away.
Hugo ready for the first pitch of this at-bat. Betza winds. The first pitch to Hugo. Fastball misses low, and really Even when she pours in that fastball, her command's not what it was in the earlier innings. Courtney Emanuel on second, Sydney Emanuel on first base. Still no outs in the top half of the fifth. Betsa's got a pretty big lead, but that can disappear in a hurry if she makes any mistakes. The 1-0 pitch to Hugo. Called strike at the belt on the inside corner. Betsa came back in there with the fastball and evens the count up at 1-1. The outfield respecting Hugo's power, playing straight away, but a couple steps deeper than their normal positions. The infield also playing back, looking for a force out or maybe a double play. Betsa winds. The 1-1 pitch to Hugo. Misses off the plate outside. They throw down to first.
Ooh.
And the pickoff throw almost got Sydney Emanuel sleeping there. The crowd wanted that one. I think Tara Blanco a little bit delayed with the tag, made sure that she had that one in the glove. Might have been the difference between an out and a safe call there.
She was in right on the foot of Emanuel there, and that's about as close as it gets.
The count 2-1 on Alex Hugo. Betsa looks in, winds. The 2-1 pitch to Hugo. Called strike again at the belt. That one more on the outer edge. Hugo let it go by. The count even at 2-2. A strikeout here would be huge.
Well, it's something Megan Betsa's very adept at doing.
She excels in that department. 6 Ks on the day for Megan Betsa,
which is really not that many considering her average pace.
Well, you know, this Georgia lineup's pretty good. Hugo stands tall with that open stance. Rests the bat on her right shoulder. Waves it back and forth. The 2-2 pitch from Betsa. Swing and a rocket into left field, but that will settle right into the glove of Kelly Christner. Hugo hit that one on the line, hit it hard. She's done that in the last 2 at-bats. But both, fortunately, have found the gloves of Michigan Wolverine defenders.
Really did rip that one, and Betsa's going to have to tread carefully, leaving balls out over the plate like that can be hit on a line.
Hugo, an excellent hitter. Also an excellent hitter is Paige Wilson, but she's struck out in both of her at-bats today. She stands with a wide stance in that lefty batter's box. The first pitch from Betsa misses in the dirt. Good block there by Sweet. She throws down to second, but Courtney Emanuel back in standing up. She knows how to test the limits of taking those leads off of second base. Any base runner with those kinds of numbers, got to be pretty experienced in that realm. Betsa comes set. The 1-0 pitch to Wilson. Fastball misses low. The count now 2-0 on the senior shortstop for the Bulldogs.
Betsa going to have to come back with a good comeback pitch here.
Wilson, not a power threat, but as you mentioned, hitting .495 on the season with runners in scoring position.
Yeah, really an off stat based on her batting average.
The 2-0 pitch from Betsa swung on and tapped foul down the first base line. And, you know, that would kind of display ice water running through her veins, but today she's been ice cold at the plate. The count now 2-1 on the lefty, Paige Wilson. Weight evenly distributed on that wide stance. She stands about in the middle of the batter's box, not crowding the plate. Bat parallel to the ground over her left shoulder. Betsa looks in, the 2-1 pitch to Wilson. Check swing. She misses. The ball pops out of the glove of Sweet, gets behind her, and the Emanuel sisters move up to second and third on the play. They're ruling that was not a foul tip, although Carol Hutchins would appeal and would opine otherwise.
Just a little question down to home plate umpire Brian Smith. Are you sure it wasn't a foul? Always very courteous, Carol Hutchins, until she gets angry.
Brian Smith pretty sure about that. The count 2-2 on Paige Wilson. 2 runners in scoring position now for the Bulldogs. 1 out here in the top of the 5th. Betsa, the 2-2 pitch, swing and a miss. Wilson wears the golden sombrero on her way back to the bench. She's 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts on today's game. Sorry, that's the hat trick. The sombrero comes with 4. Anyway, Wilson down on strikes. 2 outs now for the Bulldogs here in the top of the 5th. That'll bring up Tina Josefa.
I think the only hat down on the field is going to be her throwing her helmet to the ground in disappointment.
That was real clever, Jeremy. First pitch now to Josefa. Way outside. Good lunge there by Lauren Sweet to catch that one and stop it from getting away. The count 1-0 on Josefa, who has struck out and been hit by a pitch in her 2 at-bats.
That makes me question, though, Morris, you know, if Red Wings fans throw octopi out, do the Wolverines throw pizza out on the field? Or do the fans throw out pizza?
That's interesting. The 1-0 pitch to Josefa. Check swing. It's a called strike. Bit above the belt on the inside half of the plate. The count now 1-1. And I got to imagine that the grounds crew and the ushers here would frown upon that kind of activity.
Probably, but, they probably don't smile upon octopi being thrown on the ice in Detroit. Doesn't matter because the Leafs got Babcock.
The 1-1 pitch, called strike at the belt. That one pretty much right down Broadway. Josefa let it go by. The count 1-2. Betza 1 strike away from working her way out of a jam.
She's come back strong here, but it's going to take a good pitch to knock out Josefa.
The crowd pounding its feet, eagerly awaiting the 1-2 pitch to Josefa.
Look for the heater.
Betza comes set. The 1-2 pitch just misses off the outside corner with a fastball there. The count now even at 2-2.
It's going to be the fastball that she's got to throw to make these important outs because she can blow it by them. And she does it with great accuracy and precision.
Betza looks in, taking her time, gets her side. The windup, the 2-2 pitch to Josefa, swinging a line drive over the glove of Montemurano, but foul down the third baseline. That one could have spelled trouble.
Could have, and if Montemurano were a couple inches taller, would have possibly snagged that one before going into foul territory, but no harm done.
Josefa stands with a slightly open stance, more toward the back of the batter's box. She's a tall righty in that batter's box. Holds the bat just above her helmet over her right shoulder. The 2-2 pitch again from Betza. Swinging a tapper down the third baseline. Again foul out of the reach of Montemurano. Josefa staying alive there in the box.
Like we said, it's going to take a strong fastball from Megan Betza to really blow by Josefa here.
Well, you're really all about that fastball.
I always have been with Megan Betza. It's her best pitch by far. Got to work with the bread and butter, and that's where you make your money.
Betza winds. The 2-2 pitch to Josefa. Fastball, cold, strike 3 on the outside corner. Josefa down looking, and Georgia down without a run in the top of the 5th inning. We head to the bottom half. Michigan still with a 10-3 lead. This Chrysler crowd getting to its feet and showing its appreciation.
It's the fastball. That's it, Morris.
Yeah, she absolutely blew that one by Tina Josefa before she had a chance to react. There's a reason that is her bread and butter on the season. She is overpowering at times. Although Georgia has put together 3 runs today and seems to have threatened really frequently over the course of the last 3 or 4 innings, they only have 3 hits on today's game.
And I think that's the big difference between the Wolverines and the Bulldogs here. Both teams have threatened a lot, but it's been the Wolverines who have converted on those threats, and it's the Bulldogs who have struggled to make the big plays and come up with the hits they need with runners in scoring position. And that's really the difference in the line for me between this 7-run deficit.
And another big difference really is that Georgia's defense hasn't come to play today, and the Wolverines' defense hasn't needed to because Megan Betza can record so many outs via the strikeout there. Recorded, induced routine plays, and when push came to shove, sent Josefa back to the bench with a blistering fastball, and the Wolverines still with a comfortable lead despite the chance for things to get real interesting real quick there in the top half of the 5th.
Well, keep in mind if the Wolverines score another run here in the bottom of the 5th, it's game over via the run rule, and they're going to head into tomorrow with a 1-0 game lead in this best-of-3 series.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, and that's definitely huge for the Wolverines. Get them a little extra rest, get us a little extra rest, good night's sleep, and also just save some of that Megan Betza arm. Make sure Haley Wagner is totally ready to face this Georgia lineup tomorrow. It really would be demoralizing for this Georgia team to go back to that campus in having come off a run rule, mercy rule defeat to the Wolverines.
Is that where they're putting them up, the campus in?
Well, I'd imagine that seems to be where all of the athletic teams stay when they come to Ann Arbor. That one down at State and Huron, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe you are correct. I've also seen teams stay out in the Briarwood Circle, so it's always a question.
Well, I'm not too up to date on where teams stay. I am up to date on this softball team, though. Leading off the inning for the Wolverines will be Kelly Christner. She will be followed by Kelsey Susala, and then Lauren Sweet. 1 run gives the Wolverines a victory here in the bottom of the 5th, and the Wolverines as capable as any team of generating 1 run with 1 swing of the bat. Christner's done it today, as have the Georgia Bulldogs. Krishna will be leading off this inning, having hit 2 for 3 so far today. She has hit the ball hard in all 3 of her at-bats. The one out recorded on her on a rocket down to third base.
Really, the only big shining highlight offensively for the Bulldogs was the 2-run home run from Swafford. Their other run was courtesy of a Michigan error off that bad throw from Montemurano. Like we said, they've threatened, but it's been hard for them to bring any of those runners around.
Gray's first pitch to Krishner. She squares the bunt and bunts it foul behind home plate. And we've seen Kelly Krishner try to bunt before. She's not the best at it on the team. I'm sure that she, like everybody else, is fundamentally sound and can lay one down if need be, but right there, not showing up.
And we've seen them try and drop a lot of bunts, and not necessarily a strong point for them. Also interesting that they're deciding to go for that in the leadoff spot here.
The 0-1 pitch, breaking ball, misses off the
missed.
plate inside. The count now 1-1.
They're close, a looping breaking ball in there, just missing.
Outfield shading Krishner deep, the infield about straight away. Brittany Gray looks in, gets the sign from Maeve McGuire. The 1-1 pitch, swinging a towering pop-up into foul ground. That one going to bounce off the roof and off the screen on our side of the Georgia dugout down the first base line.
They keep coming closer and closer, Morris. One of these days.
We're never going to get one, Jeremy. We're going to have to go to an away game to find one because this screen just knocks down all chances.
Watch it. These Wolverines are going to punch their ticket to Oklahoma City. I'm going to go down there alone and get a foul ball.
Well, I eagerly await the pictures from that event. The count 1-2 on Kelly Krishner.
Still have my glove up here. It's keeping my hand warm.
You know, eventually the jig's going to be up about that glove, Jeremy.
Well, you know, that's why it's radio. You can't see it.
I can't see it either, Jeremy, and I guess that's just a product of me being on the radio. The count 1-2 on Kelly Krishner. Gray looks in, delivers. Krishner lines one right into the glove of the shortstop, Paige Wilson. If there's anybody hitting a softball harder today than Kelly Krishner, I don't know who it is. She has absolutely crushed every pitch she has put into fair play, but
we've seen
still rewarded with 2 outs.
We've seen that on both sides of the ball as well. Just some absolute laser shots that just find exactly the wrong spot and lined up in the leather of one of the defensive players, regardless of where it is.
That brings up Susala. She lines one for a base hit into left field. Paige Wilson not getting her glove on that one.
Nobody getting their glove on that one.
That was a
not
rocket.
hit as hard, but still just laced through the hole. That one found the right spot.
Susala on first base. Lauren Sweet at the dish for the Wolverines. The dugout up and jumping as Sweet, 1 for 3 on the day, steps into that lefty batter's box.
If Susala crosses the plate here, the game is over.
Gray winds, the first pitch to Sweet. She swings and pops one up foul over the screen and behind home plate, out of play.
Sweet had that nice chopper single back in the first inning up the gut. Hasn't done a whole lot since. Is looking to channel some of that early success.
Lauren Sweet, I know she's had a walk-off RBI double at some point for this team recently, but as you said, the wins have kind of blurred together. She's hitting .321 on the year with 11 home runs, 50 RBI. She takes the 0-1 pitch high for ball 1, the count even at 1-1.
There have been a lot of, you know, walk-off run rule victory heroes for the Wolverines.
1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out and 1 on for the Wolverines in the bottom of the 5th. The 1-1 pitch from Gray misses low and in. The count now 2-1 on Lauren Sweet.
I think Sweet's going to sit on the fastball here, but we'll see what she decides to do.
You would think so, but if she sits on that breaking ball and finds it, it's going a long way. The 2-1 pitch, fastball swung on, grounded softly toward the right side. Picked up a glove flip to first base by the pitcher, Brittany Gray. Fields her position there pretty well and got Sweet at first base. Susala down to second on the play.
Always a little bit more difficult when you're doing it without the hand and you're really trusting the glove and that arm motion. And
you know, maybe she should have been throwing with her glove the whole time because she's had 2 throwing errors getting it down to first
I was going to
base
say,
today.
we saw what she did earlier when she trusted her bare hand, and maybe the wiser decision to go with the glove for Gray. But
it's really one of the stranger phenomenons in baseball and softball to me, how a pitcher can throw with pinpoint accuracy, stuff with movement right into that catcher's glove throughout the course of an entire game. But when it comes to turning and throwing it at a 90-degree angle over to first base, all of a sudden that accuracy abandons them.
we saw Megan Betza throwing overhand before the game, and really not that accurate. She also couldn't catch very well.
And now a conference between two umpires. Looks like the second baseman, Alex Hugo, and the coach for the Georgia Bulldogs, Lou Harris-Champer.
I think she might be trying to argue that there was some kind of interference on the behalf of Susala. She ran to second base. She looks to be pointing towards some kind of interference there. And the Alumni Field fans want her off of their field. She's still arguing her point to home plate umpire Brian Smith.
Yeah, we don't have any replays. Don't exactly know what's going on in that department.
She's pointing towards, it looks like either the first base path or the path between first and second. And I think she's trying to say something about some kind of obstruction maybe with Susala. Or it could have even been Sweet. Not sure.
Regardless, it doesn't look like Susala's moving from her position on second base. She represents the walk-off run rule winning run with Lindsay Montemurano at the plate. Montemurano 0 for 1 on today's game with 2 walks. Her on-base percentage climbing to .460 in today's game.
Those walks have been big for the Wolverines too.
First pitch to Monty, misses high and outside for ball 1.
And it seems as though every time Monty draws a big walk, it produces something good for these Wolverines.
Gray on today's game has thrown 4 1/3 innings, given up 6 runs. Only 1 of them have been earned.
Yeah, really benefiting from the 4 errors on the Bulldogs.
The 1-0 pitch to Monty, misses high again for ball 2. Letting Monty to get to first base, not a really big deal for the Bulldogs. The only runner that matters right now is Susala on second base. Aiden Falk awaits on deck. May even be a tougher matchup for the righty, Brittany Gray.
All Montemurano has to do is send one into center field.
The 2-0 pitch, taken off the plate away for ball 3 with the count 3-0. Montemurano will be taking all the way.
That is the blanket policy of the Wolverines, never swinging on 3-0. Doesn't matter if you're Sierra Romero or Lindsay Montemurano. If you move that bat off of your shoulder, Carol Hutchins will have your hands.
Ray looks in. Monty moves to the back of the batter's box. The 3-0 pitch, called strike above the knees on the outside corner with the fastball there.
We'll see if Monty decides to swing on 3-1 here if anything's close, or if she decides to take again, as Gray has had a little bit of trouble finding the strike zone recently.
Count now 3-1. Gray winds, delivers. Monty swings and pops one up. Shallow center field. Outfielders converging. It will be the right fielder, Sydney Emanuel, to settle under that in shallow right center and make the catch. Michigan gets a runner on, but doesn't do anything more than that. They don't score in the bottom of the 5th. We head to the top of the 6th. The Wolverines lead the Bulldogs 10-3 here at Alumni Field. You are listening to WCBN FM Ann Arbor's coverage of Michigan softball. Thank you for tuning in.
What is your name and where are you from?
It's going to be the missing lyrics competition here, Morris. Always my favorite between the bottom of the 5th and top of the 6th.
Okay, the rules are simple.
What song are they going to pull out for her today?
Well, you know Jeremy's hoping for that Neil Diamond.
Are you ready?
But
Not just any Neil Diamond.
the Sweet Caroline.
The Sweet Caroline.
Doesn't look like that's going to be the case.
Oh, no, it's Taylor Swift. Oh, the bane of my existence, Morris.
Really?
I'm not a T Swizzle fan.
You're not down with T Swizzle. All right.
I used to be a big fan. Love Story, that was my shower jam back in, I don't know, what was that, 8th grade, maybe 7th grade? That and Beyonce's Irreplaceable, but these days, Taylor Swift has gone a little too mainstream for me.
Well, I think we can all get down to a little Beyonce, Irreplaceable.
Oh, that was the jam, Mo. I used to have those old speakers. They weren't even Bluetooth back in those days, where you had to plug the iPod in. And I would wake up every morning, and it had the little remote to turn it on. I'd turn that on and pump Irreplaceable into my parents' bedroom as I would wake up and take a shower every morning.
I'm sure they were thrilled with that.
Well, normally it was just my ma who was there. My dad was probably already gone by then, but my ma still likes to listen to Irreplaceable every now and then for the memories.
Anyone help her out?
Of course, the memories of being rudely awakened by her pubescent son.
It's not
To
rude.
Beyonce.
She loves her son. Ma, if you're listening, I love you.
And so the karaoke, I'd say,
They stopped her like mid-song. It was kind of weird.
not much of a success.
We're going to play some Lonely Boy now as Megan Betza warms up again. And we're really just out of things to say about her, Morris, and we've been saying it for about the last week or so.
Well, she has looked human today. I got to say that.
She
given
has made some errors.
5 innings pitched, 3 hits, 3 runs, 3 earned runs. I don't know whether I would categorize that the second inning run, thanks to Montemurano's error, as earned, but as it stands on the scorebook, that's what it is. So 3 hits, 3 runs, all earned, 2 walks, 8 strikeouts through 5 innings. She's given up a double, a homer, and a single. Georgia looking to add to that here in the top of the 6th.
How about this, Morris? 190 and a third innings pitched for Betza. She's up to 306 strikeouts.
Huh? That's not bad.
That's not too bad.
Anna Swafford at the plate, homer to center in her last at-bat. She's 1 for 1 on the day against Betza. The first pitch from Betza, bunted right back to Betza. Fields chucks over to first. Romero covering. They got Swafford by a step. Excellent defensive rotation there as Blanco charged on the butt, but Romero lickety-split quick got over to first base and caught that throw from Megan Betza.
And that was a well-placed bunt, too, from Swafford. She would have had herself a base hit had the Wolverines made any flaw in movement there, but Sarah Romero had her mind on the defensive play, and Tara Blanco did a good job of ducking down and letting the ball get in to Sierra Romero for the out.
Kaylee Pueloa at the plate. Check swing at the first pitch, and she went too far for strike 1. That was a fastball up and out of the zone. And, you know, maybe if Swafford put that more down the third base line, it would have been a tougher play for Betza. But Betza cat-like pouncing off of the mound and onto that ball.
It was still a well-placed bunt.
It was. The 0-1 pitch to Pueloa, same spot, but Pueloa didn't go after it. The count even at 1-1 on the fastball that misses high and outside.
No, we talked about the enigma of pitchers not being able to make solid throws down to first base, but Betza disproving that one there with a solid defensive play.
Betza looks in. Pueloa showing bunt, pulls back. The 1-1 pitch again misses high with the fastball. And we saw Betza let her command get a little bit away from her back in previous innings, doing a little bit of that now with 1 out, no one on.
And, you know, she does give up a few walks. She's given up 93 on the year.
2-1 pitch now to Pueloa. Called strike on the outside corner. Another fastball. Commanded that one well and found her spot about belt high.
The raspy ring up of Brian Smith at home plate, letting everybody know that that one was a called strike.
2-2 the count on Pueloa. She is 0 for 2 with a strikeout and a line out to Ramirez at short. Betza gets her sign. Winds the 2-2 pitch. Just misses off the outer edge for ball 3 there. Just by pretty good margin, I should say. The count moves full on Pueloa. Pueloa 0 for 2 on today's game, hitting 243 on the season.
I think everybody in the house is expecting Betza to come with the fastball here.
Betza winds the 3-2 pitch to Pueloa. Fastball called strike 3 on the outside corner. Pueloa down on strikes. 0 for 3 on today's game. Betza with her 9th ring up of the game.
Maybe everybody was expecting it except Pueloa.
Well, you know, sometimes even if you expect a pitch, there is nothing you can do about it.
And with speed like that, it becomes pretty hard to do anything about it.
You can't hit what you can't see. Maeve McGuire at the plate now. She's 0 for 2. Betza winds the first pitch to McGuire. Swinging a pop-up foul. That one's going to tail out of play. And it'll bounce, I think, off of a fan in the front-ish rows of that left side of the bleachers. Count 0-1 on McGuire. McGuire hitting 323 on the year.
She's got a strikeout and a ground out to short in her 2 at-bats today.
McGuire with a solid, if uneventful, game behind the plate.
She's hitting 440 with 2 outs.
The 0-1 pitch from Betza. Fastball misses high for ball 1. The count now 1-1 on Maeve McGuire. Infield and outfield shading her straightaway. Infield playing deep. McGuire not the speediest of runners out of the box.
She's hitting 440 with 2 outs, but Megan Betza, opponent's only hitting 146 against her with 2 outs.
Well, you know, something's got to give. 2 outs, nobody on for the Bulldogs. The 1-1 pitch to McGuire, fastball misses high. The count now 2-1. Betza trying to come in with that fastball, but not able to keep it down in the zone. Betts looks in, gets the sign from Lauren Sweet. Comes set, the 2-1 pitch to McGuire. Breaking ball called strike on the inside corner. McGuire absolutely flummoxed on that pitch.
I haven't heard any real thesaurus words out of you so far tonight, Morris. Thanks for coming back with a good one there. Flummoxed. I like it. I'm going to have to write it down in legible handwriting.
2-2, 2 outs, nobody on. Betzel looks in, the 2-2 pitch to McGuire. Swing and a tapper foul down the first baseline. First base coach for the Bulldogs.
Not sure who that is.
Tried to reach out his foot and tap that one. Not able to come up with the footy skills. The count remains 2-2 on Maeve McGuire.
Oh, that's why he's coaching softball and not soccer.
2-2 still the count. The crowd pounding their feet, anxiously awaiting a strikeout. The 2-2 pitch. Swinging a line drive base hit into left field. Good job by McGuire taking an outside pitch, an outside fastball, and just going with it the opposite way.
These Georgia Bulldogs fans down on first base still enthusiastic as can be, even though they're down 7 runs, waving posters and cheering loud enough for us to hear it above all the Alumni Field fans.
McGuire's .440 average with 2 outs rose a bit after that hit. That'll bring up Nyasia Griffin. She's 1 for 2 on today's game with a double. First pitch by Betza. Just misses with the fastball there. I was ready to call it a called strike because it looked like it caught the plate there, but maybe missed inside. The count 1-0 on Nyasia Griffin.
Nyasia Griffin hitting .469 with 2 outs, so we'll see if these statistics hold again.
That's the lines, the 1-0 pitch to Griffin. She chops one to short, stabbed by Ramirez. She's not going to have any play. That one bounced into deep short, and with McGuire running on contact and Griffin a very speedy runner out of the box, she had no play.
Good infield single there, and that was a high chopper that did get almost back to where the turf grass meets the turf dirt here.
The Georgia Bulldogs refusing to go down quietly, and that'll bring up the bottom of the order in Courtney Emanuel. Emanuel with a single in her last at-bat. She's reached base both times she's come to the plate. Assistant coach Jennifer Brundage out to talk to Megan Betza on the rubber.
Lauren Sweet as well. Maybe planning out a couple of pitches here to throw to Courtney Emanuel, as Betza does not have a quarterback's playbook on her forearm.
Top of the order, waiting in the wings for the Georgia Bulldogs. Sydney Emanuel has been good today for Georgia, and waiting on deck is Alex Hugo. Although she is 0 for 3, she has hit the ball hard in a couple of plate appearances. She's not someone you want to see with runners on base.
Little Jesse's girl for you. Break out some Rick Springfield as the music anthology continues here at Alumni Field.
All of your favorite popular hits from the 60s, 70s, and 80s.
Morris, I think you've gotten a great music education as well throughout the season.
I have. I've just grown so much as a person. The first pitch to Emanuel, she lets it go, and it's off the plate outside for ball 1. Abby Ramirez, the shortstop, is tracking over to cover third after every pitch, as Montemano is shaded way in off of third. Wouldn't be able to cover in case of a stolen base. Betsy looks in. The sign, the 1-0 pitch to Emanuel, breaking ball called strike on the inside corner. Emanuel already out of the box by the time that one was into the strike zone.
She ran up on that one and sort of took a double take look back as it crossed the plate.
Emanuel stands tall, bends that front knee as she's ready to run up and swing. 1-1 the count on Courtney Emanuel. Betza gets the sign. The pitch. Fastball called strike on the outside corner. The count 1-2 now on Emanuel.
Pretty similar pitch there with a relatively same location. Betza finds herself in a good count now.
Outfield and infield shaded in. The crowd stomping their feet. The count 1-2 with 2 outs on Emanuel. 2 runners on for the Bulldogs. Betza gets her sign. The 1-2 pitch. Swing and a tapper foul. Emanuel just managing to keep the at-bat alive as Sweet trudges over and picks it up near the backstop.
Manuel's not going to go down easy. She's going to protect that plate just as well as anybody on this Bulldogs team. That's a large reason as to why she's hitting .411 in a 9 slot for these Bulldogs. A tenacious hitter, to say the least. She's also hitting .453 with 2 outs and .470 with runners on and runners in scoring position.
The 1-2 pitch, hard ground ball off the glove of Ramirez. She flips down to second, not in time. They're not going to get Griffin there. It was a hard hit ball, took a tough hop up on Abby Ramirez, and that's got to go down as an error. Michigan's third of the game, and now the bases are loaded for the top of the order in Sydney Emmanuel. Trouble brewing again for the Wolverines.
The hop got to Ramirez, but also it doesn't help that Georgia has their best speed on the base paths right now.
Griffin very fast. Sydney Emmanuel 0 for 1 on today's game, and perhaps Ramirez did a good job of just knocking that ball down, preventing a run from scoring on the play as there are still 2 outs. First pitch to Emmanuel. Breaking ball, called strike at the knees. Controversial pitch there. Emmanuel looks back at open umpire Brian Smith. That one might have been below the knees.
A little bit. It looked a little low, but there have been a few close calls for Brian Smith tonight, but by and large, he's been pretty tight all around.
It's not easy to evaluate those pitches, especially when your strike zone is running up and out of the box.
And Lawrence Sweet also doing a nice job of framing a lot of pitches tonight, as well as McGuire on the other end of things for the Bulldogs.
That's the winds, the 0-1 pitch. Breaking ball chopped foul down the first base line. Emmanuel quickly behind in the count, 0-2. Just looking to put the ball on the ground and play and let her speed do the work. That's the modus operandi for Sydney Emmanuel, and she's hitting 427 on the year. Must be doing something right. She's up now with the bases loaded and 2 outs in the top of the 6th. Georgia down 7, desperate for a spark. The 0-2 pitch from Betza, swinging a pop-up. Foul ground. Machimano over near the Michigan dugout, climbs the fence, but that one about 5 feet beyond her reach into the dugout.
Well, that would have been some style points for Monty there, but I think she was just getting a rise out of her teammates in the dugout, jumping up on that.
And it looks like that's the end of the inning.
What?
I think we have probably a base running infraction. We've seen it in the past.
Oh, it was in fact a running infraction.
Yeah, the fans are.
And wow, okay.
The fans are flabbergasted right now, and talk about an anticlimax.
Wow. I thought it was just a simple foul ball, but it looks like somebody took off early.
I feel a bit robbed.
A little bit, yeah.
I think we all wanted to see Betza go mano a mano and ring up that strikeout. But as it stands, the Wolverines are going to take a 10-3 lead heading into the bottom of the 6th inning.
You were working with modus operandi, the MO, but Megan Betza showing that this is her pitching magnum opus, the other MO, really showing mastery on the circle. Really, she hasn't been her best today, but it's been good enough for the Wolverines, to be honest.
So basically, you're saying,
not deserving of magnum opus.
You're saying
but
you just wanted to use.
It was sticking with MO, but yes.
And
you know me, I'm a sucker for a good odd linking pun.
And on our stat broadcast, it says that Sydney Emmanuel grounded out to the catcher unassisted, but we'll see if she comes to the plate to lead off the next inning.
I'm still waiting for what they have down on stat broadcast for that.
You know, it could have been catcher's interference as well. I didn't hear any pop. I didn't see Sweet gesturing that was the case.
We'll see. They haven't put up yet what happened.
I mean, it may be that we don't have a great explanation on that whatsoever. As it stands, the Wolverines will hit in the bottom of the 6th inning.
It's going to be Gray back to the circle again for the Bulldogs. She's seen a lot of work tonight.
Our producer, Eli Sherman, has come over and told us that the reason that was ruled an out is because Sydney Emmanuel stepped out of the batter's box while she swung, actually stepping on home plate. That run-up swing is one that I'm sure these batters have rehearsed thousands of times, but with all the elements coming into play, there's plenty of room for human error. We've seen plenty of human error today. 7 errors on the scoreboard, 4 for the Bulldogs, 3 for the Wolverines. And that's with a generous scorekeeper, too.
The Wolverines have benefited as well from those 4 errors, a little bit more so than the Bulldogs have benefited from Michigan's 3 errors. And that's evident in the scoreline, still 10-3.
And, you know, that's what happens when your pitcher can erase those errors via the strikeout, take the game out of the defense's hands. Brittany Gray, 4 2/3 innings, 6 hits, 6 runs, 1 earned, no strikeouts. Paige Wilkinson, the 1 out she recorded was via the punch-out, but she hasn't seen much of this game. Megan Betza, on the other hand, 9 strikeouts over the course of 6 innings. So, you know, sometimes it's just as simple as that. You have one pitcher who can take the game into her own hands And Michigan's taking the game into their hands. They now have a chance to win, scoring a run here.
Again, it's going to be in the hands of Aiden Falk to start it off.
Falk, 1 for 2 on today's game. Takes the first pitch off on the outside corner for a called strike one.
Gray still trying to get this to the top of the 7th inning and give her Bulldog teammates 3 more outs to work with as they try and make a miraculous comeback from down 7 runs.
The 0-1 pitch misses low and away. The count even at 1-1. And you don't want to let anybody get on base for the Wolverines because if they do, the top of the lineup looms. 1-1 the count on Falk. Gray checking the device on her left forearm. Now comes onto the rubber. The 1-1 pitch to Falk. Called strike on the outside corner. The signal she got from the dugout must have been a good one because Falk let that one go by. Count 1-2 on Aiden Falk. The freshman designated player who's really come on strong for the Wolverines in this season. 1-2 pitch. Called strike 3 on the outside corner. Aiden Falk back to the bench with a strikeout looking. Gray's first of the game.
Good pitching there from Gray. She's nearing her 100th K of the season. The next one will be her 100th, but she's also given up 50 walks on the season. Not the best K to walk ratio, but she's pitched well since she's gotten all but 1 out for the Bulldogs in this game today.
That'll bring up Tara Blanco. Gray's first pitch to Blanco, a called strike on the outside corner at the knees, and Gray seemingly settling into a groove here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Blanco 1 for 3 with an RBI double. That one just out of the outstretched reach of the diving Nyasia Griffin in center field. The 0-1 pitch, a breaking ball called strike on the outside corner.
Well, it seems as though Gray can do no wrong right now. All her pitches are hitting the right spot, stymieing these Wolverine hitters so far in the 6th.
She's just pounding the strike zone. The 0-2 pitch, Blanco reaches out her bat, pokes a soft liner, a sliding catch along the first base line by the second baseman, Alex Hugo. She came out of nowhere. What a play.
That's her second insane defensive play of the day. 2 fantastic sliding grabs by her. Really been web gems of themselves. And
my, oh my, I thought the first baseman, Joseph, had the best chance at that one, and Hugo just like a flash of lightning out of the darkness.
It stinks that, you know, it's probably not going to affect the outcome of the game because, my, they're pretty.
Ramirez swings at first pitch, chops a one-hopper to Hugo, who is ever consistent with the glove. Fields throws to first. A 1-2-3 inning for the Wolverines in the bottom of the 6th ensures that this will not be a run rule victory. We head to the top of the 7th with the Wolverines still leading this one 10-3.
Final call for the Georgia Bulldogs, and it's going to take something special for them to get 7 runs and climb back into this game. Looks like Megan Betts is going to be back to close it out, though. Well, and speaking of Beyonce, coming up a little, single ladies put a ring on it. And all the single ladies have put their hands up, Morris Fabry included.
My hands have stayed in my pocket, Jeremy, misrepresenting reality. So as he's doing play-by-play tomorrow, just keep in mind that he is a silver-tongued liar. 3 runs on 5 hits and 4 errors for the Bulldogs through 6 innings so far. The Wolverines with 10 runs on 8 hits to go along with 3 defensive errors for the Wolverines.
Silver-tongued liar, but rainbow broadcaster on the color end.
Betsa will head back out to the rubber. She's thrown a lot of pitches today, been a lot of high-stress situations, but she has handled them all with aplomb. Coming out with a lead. She's gotten the run support she has needed.
I'm going to miss Morris for the rest of this season. Aplomb, one of his favorite words that he likes to pull out there. But yeah, Megan Betts has thrown 117 pitches already. And I guess we've also come to realize that it's not really the same as throwing 117 pitches in a baseball game. It doesn't apparently put as much stress on the arm, or they're just more adept at throwing that many pitches. As it seems to be kind of the norm if Betts is doing that well to go the distance.
Well, you know, even the non-workhorses across the college softball landscape, they'll throw a complete game on a Friday. They'll throw a complete game on a Sunday. So
Or if
Right
you're
now.
Shayla Starkenberg over for the Iowa
Just throw all of
Hawkeyes,
them.
throw
Just throw all the innings.
every game.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think I might have picked the wrong sport. Not that I had any arm injuries playing baseball, but it would have been nice to be able to pitch every single game.
Especially if you have the stuff Megan Betza has.
Yeah, I don't think I have a prayer of doing that. So it'll be Alex Hugo leading off the inning for the Georgia Bulldogs. Hugo 0 for 3 on today's game has hit the ball very hard in her last 2 at-bats. But fortunately for Megan Betza, she was able to get out of a bases-loaded jam when Sydney Emanuel committed a batting infraction. And so she will face the most feared hitter in this lineup with nobody on.
Most feared hitter and nicest defensive playmaker.
First pitch to Hugo, called strike at the belt.
Hugo has pretty much been stymied today. Struck out looking, grounded out to Mana Morano, and lined out to Kelly Christner. Oh, getting a quick clarification. Looks like with Alex Hugo and home plate umpire Brian Smith.
The 0-1 pitch to Hugo. Misses low with an off-speed offering there. The count even at 1-1. And Hugo, also a junior at second base. And she's got to be considered a player to watch on any National Player of the Year watch list going into next year. Betza gets the sign. The 1-1 pitch to Alex Hugo. Swinging a foul back to the screen. She's really got an uppercut to her swing. Looks to drive the ball high and into left field. Couldn't do it there. The count now 1-2. Infield and outfield, about normal depth on Hugo.
How much you want to bet Betza tries and blow her back here with a nice fastball?
Not a betting man. The 1-2 pitch to Hugo. Fastball misses low and in. The count now 2-2. The wind blowing slightly out toward right center field, dying down as I speak. Flags on the backstop fluttering with a little more intensity than that in center field. Betza gets the sign. The 2-2 pitch on its way to Hugo. Swing and a hard line drive down the left field line. That one foul into the screen along the third base line. The count remains 2-2 on Alex Hugo.
She's going to fight here. Hugo with the opportunity to start something off for the Bulldogs here. And as the most feared hitter, really needs to get on base if Georgia has any hope of doing anything here in the top of the 7th. Down to their last 3 outs in this first game.
Betza wins. The 2-2 pitch, swinging a towering pop-up on the infield. Montemorano settles under it, makes the catch, and just tells Alex Hugo back to the bench. That's the first out here in the top half of the 7th inning, and it will bring up Paige Wilson.
Paige Wilson having her fair share of defensive struggles today. Same at the plate. As Morris mentioned last time she was up, she went for the hat trick of 3 strikeouts on the day, looking for the golden sombrero.
First pitch from Betza. Fastball misses high above the head of Wilson and out of the zone. Ball 1.
Wilson not the tallest of players. Her strike zone relatively small. She also gets a bit of a lean in her stance.
Betza winds. The 1-0 pitch to Wilson. Called strike on the outside corner. Comes right back with the fastball and finds her spot. Now 1-1 on Paige Wilson with 1 out, nobody on here in the top of the 7th. Michigan with a 7-run lead. Betza gets her sign. The 1-1 pitch. Fastball misses high. It's been all fastballs so far to Paige Wilson. The count 2-1. Outfield and infield shaded straight away. The stands still dense in the grandstands around the baselines. The 2-1 pitch to Wilson, a called strike on the outside corner. The count now 2-2. The fans have, about half of the fans in the right center field bleachers have left, but the ones closer to the action have remained. Betza looks in. Winds the 2-2 pitch to Wilson. Swing and a tapper foul behind home plate. Less than an inch away from that golden sombrero.
Getting a nibble to stay alive there.
Wilson still hitting .362 on the year, but today has not been her game.
Struck out in the 1st, the 3rd, and the 5th.
Betza's 2-2 pitch. Just misses off the outside corner. That was maybe a bit too close to take,
It
but Wilson took it anyway.
was close. And Brian Smith keeping his small strike zone today.
Count is full. One out here in the top of the 7th. Betzel looks in. The payoff pitch to Wilson. Swing and a miss. She goes down on strikes. It will be a golden sombrero for Paige Wilson as she slinks back to the dugout 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts. And she just got to be grateful that tomorrow brings another day of softball. With 2 outs and nobody on, that brings up Tina Josefa, the first baseman for the Bulldogs. The crowd on their feet. First pitch from Betza. Swing and a miss and a fastball. Shoulder high. Josefa tried to chase that one up in the zone and hit it high out of the park. She comes up with nothing but air. Count 0-1. That's a working quickly. The 0-1 pitch. Fastball called strike. About thigh high. The count now 0-2 on Josefa.
Now the crowd really ready for it. Just 1 strike away from Michigan taking the first game in this best-of-3 series and taking the leverage with them into tomorrow.
Betza gets her sign. The 0-2 pitch to Josefa. Swing and a pop-up into shallow center field. Lawrence is under it. She makes the catch, and that's the ball game today. The Wolverines take home a 10-3 victory over the Georgia Bulldogs here at Alumni Field. It was an error-laden game. Kind of a back-and-forth affair. The Bulldogs got to Megan Betza a little bit, but in the end, Betza too overpowering. The lineup too overpowering, and the Wolverines take this one pretty easy. Your thoughts?
Well, I think this is huge for the Michigan Wolverines. They do take the 1-0 lead in the best-of-3 series. They only have to win 1 game tomorrow now. So all the focus being put into just win 1 game. That's all you got to do. And if you're the Georgia Bulldogs, you're staring down the barrel of having to win 2 in a row against one of the best teams in the country. And that's going to be a tough order for them, but it's going to be Haley Wagner potentially pitching in the first game tomorrow for the Wolverines. And if need be, Megan Betzel will come back in the third. But really, the error-laden game, and it was Michigan taking advantage of those errors and Georgia really not being able to take advantage of the errors that Michigan made. And that was the big difference, and that's where the 7-run differential comes into play.
Jeremy and Andrew Hausman will have the call for you tomorrow. Your MVPs from today's game, you could pick a few. Betza with a strikeout-heavy performance. Romero and Christner both had some big hits. Christner's home run sparked the Wolverines' offensive performance today, but as it stands, you got another team victory, a dominant team victory. The Wolverines looking to take this in tomorrow and take that momentum all the way into the NCAA championship down in Oklahoma City. But for today, that's all we have for you. I'm Morris Fabry for Jeremy Parks. Jeremy has one more thing to say.
Tomorrow at 6, first pitch, and then at 9 if need be for the third game.
It'll be on this same YouTube channel. With that being said, we're going to leave you with a good night and a Go Blue. Thank you so much for tuning in.